It's the topic that will make you scream, finish him, faster than a pimp in a hurry. It's Mortal Kombat the movie, 1995, this week on Nothing Good.
Well, look who we have here.
Hello.
We sit within rarefied air.
Do we?
Yeah, Mr. Brown, we got Mac here.
What's going on, everybody?
A man so nice, we asked him back thrice.
Well, I wouldn't actually say that you asked me back. I just haven't left.
Only a Dominic on you.
I've been surviving on whatever Halloween candy has been just dropped by the kids. So, yeah, I mean, we're basically down to Jolly Ranchers and licorice. So that's what's left.
Brave man.
Yeah.
But more importantly, we have a very special guest with us.
We do.
Yes. And I don't really know a particular way to introduce her in a way that would do her impact on all of our lives justice. So I will let you, Mr.
You're
Brown,
put me
do
on
so.
the spot.
Yeah.
My notes are it just says introduce Jackie. So allow me to just kind of cue this up. She is an internationally renowned best-selling author. She is one of the most creative person I've ever met in my entire life. And also, she is the owner of the womb of which I emerged in the mid-'80s. It is my mother, famed author, Jacqueline Druga. Hi, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I'm excited to be here.
It's nice for you to be here.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
It is. So,
quality time with my son and adopted sons.
there it is.
That's right.
True. That's right.
And that's going to make the interaction between you and Mac later even weirder. But
Yeah, well,
we're all Game of Thrones fans here, so it's not out of the way. But welcome to the very few listeners. I would say the listeners that know us but don't know you. You are a writer, filmmaker, musician, generally wacky person.
Very much.
Yes,
It's true.
You have, if I'm not mistaken, you have hunted a man for sport.
I have, yes.
We don't talk about 1977.
Wait, I was way young in 1977.
That's why it was so surprising. That's why he didn't expect it. But welcome to the show, and welcome to any of the droves of listeners that you might bring to listen to us say completely awful things on the internet that we can't come back from.
I have several that will love the show.
Well, good. Well, shout out to those several.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah.
That's a spell.
These are the same people that loved Venus Envy.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
There it is. There it is.
Gretchen.
Yes. So, speaking of internationally renowned writer, and this podcast being internationally renowned, I'd like to take a moment before we begin to kind of address two countries in general.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. The first is I'd like to welcome to the international fold the country of Germany.
Oh.
Now, let's join our listeners. So, was it Velkommen? Right. I just always when I try to say hello in German, I just think about the intro of Cabaret, right?
Okay.
Which is a weird reference.
It is.
Okay, but there it is. But the other most important thing I have to say is I'd like to take a moment to talk to Peru.
Peru.
But not just Peru as in this embodied singular listener that we had in Peru. No, I'd like to take a moment to address the entire nation of Peru.
That's saucy.
If I may.
That's saucy Manx.
Peru. I fucking miss you. I need you so bad. And I need to express how bad I want you. And so, this is about to happen. Peru, I fucking need you. Peru, I want to lay you down on your tummy, Peru. The whole nation of Peru. I want to yell in your butthole, Peru. Well, who's that coming in the door, Peru? It's your husband, yeah. But you know it. He's down for it. His name is Leonardo Peru. And Herb Jones is going to jump in too, Peru. Please come back. All right.
For all the listeners, who just got assaulted audibly. I just want to tell you that Mr. Brown here, he shares his notes with us. So when I was earlier today, when I was looking through his notes, what he was planning on talking about, everything you just heard, he wrote down in his notes as "Song to Peru," and that's what came out.
That is what came out. That's what Peru will say.
Listen, I'm 39 years old, and in 39 years, I have never once
Wait,
heard.
what? You're 39?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Well, I just turned 39, so.
So how old were you when you walked up to the door and I thought you were a Jehovah's Witness?
20.
20? Okay.
Because next summer will be the 20th year anniversary of us being friends.
About 20 years old.
Who got the nail in their foot?
Your
True.
son.
Drew. Okay.
Your other son.
I know one of you
who
guys.
listens to this show is going to be, damn it, Mom.
Well, I just remember her walking up to the door with that white shirt and tie and his book back on. He's like, "Good evening, ma'am. I'm here for no one. You are not getting my son."
I remember that very differently, but we're going to go with this.
Yeah. I got a phone call that said, hey, what are we going to say about
I
the
just
song?
want to say that I don't ever want to hear another human being say, "I want to sing in your butthole" ever again. I've never heard that in my entire
If
life.
Peru comes back, then we won't have to worry about it.
Listen, that song will be trending in Peru
That sounds
tomorrow.
nice.
Let's hope not.
Tomorrow.
You know what? I would love if you're from the Peruvian government and you would like me to sing a version of that for your national anthem. I'm here for it.
Yeah. I don't know it's going to crack top 10, but easy top 20.
Oh, good. I
Yeah.
appreciate the
We're,
faith.
we're thinking
Yeah.
like one-hit wonder here.
There it is,
There
like
it is.
last week's episode.
Back in the archives.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, good stuff. Good feedback on that. Good feedback.
Yes.
A lot of good feedback on Sega Channel too.
So
guys.
far, so good.
So far, so
So-
good.
Yeah.
Which kind of brings me into this is the third episode and a fourth episode really in a row that either specifically deals with the year 1995 or right around there. So
It's a pivotal year.
it's
It's
a
a
whole
good
thing.
year.
Yeah.
But
we were-
speaking of what we're talking about,
Right?
what are we talking about? The biggest, the best, as I look you dead in the eyes, Noah, the best video game movie adaptation of all time. All time. Arguably.
It's a real fucking low
arguably.
bar, dog. It's a real low bar.
Well, no, but think about it. We're talking 1995 and nothing's been able to top it since.
I mean,
That's sad, to be fair, but it's still a really good movie
I disagree.
for what it is.
I disagree with that statement
I mean,
completely.
What's better?
The new Sonic the Hedgehog movie is better than this.
Oh, no.
You lie where you sit.
I do not lie where I
there's
sit.
no way.
I just watched both movies semi-recently, and I can tell you, flat out, I remember Mortal Kombat, being way better than it actually is.
Well, of course.
No, I just watched it.
We all just watched it.
And it's much better than I remember it being. There.
This is going to be interesting.
Yeah. Robin
This is gonna be a real
Shue.
good time.
Let's save our comparisons to Sonic the Hedgehog later.
For later on in the
Let's
show. You know
talk
when we
about
say
the
that,
show.
we will never do it.
We're never going to talk about Sonic the Hedgehog ever again.
I will
Thank you,
randomly
sir.
bring up Jim Carrey at some point in the conversation to trigger the callback to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh, we're gonna. It's gonna be brutal.
Absolutely.
It's
I
gonna
couldn't
be
get
brutal.
through 3 minutes of that movie. I turned it off.
It's so good.
So we're talking about a commercial success though.
I mean,
This movie
yeah.
made a lot of money on like a $20 million budget.
Yeah.
$18 million budget.
There you go.
Estimated for that movie. And worldwide, it made, I believe,
122.2 million.
and I think that's international. I
Yeah.
think if you combine that with the domestic total, it went over 170, 180
That's a
million
lot of
dollars.
money. That's
And
pretty
in
damn
today's
good.
$80
day,
million
it's
movie.
$340 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's something.
I mean, yeah. It's
Says it's good.
not good though.
It is good.
It's not
had
good.
Robin
We'll get
Shue.
there first, but before we talk about the actual movie and the stats behind the movie, I want to address here. We have mentioned on this show multiple times a love for the actual Mortal Kombat games.
Yeah, of
that
course.
this film is based off on. But I want to know, talking to you, our illustrious guest, pronouns pal, Jackie. So, how familiar are you with the Mortal Kombat franchise as far as games go?
I became somewhat enlightened after I watched the movie. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was a really bad quality game. I can remember thinking it was way too violent when it first came out. You know, they didn't even move right. You know, it was, I'm remembering the Nintendo version or the Sega version where
It would be the Sega. It's
they-
the version we had
yeah,
growing up.
Yeah, it was pretty violent, but
It
that's
was
nothing.
excessively violent.
It's unbelievably
That's
violent.
nothing compared to what these games are now. I mean,
So you would say you are minimally familiar with the Mortal Kombat franchise?
yes. Yes.
Well, that's good because I'd like to play a game with you here today.
I'm going to win.
We have a segment. Sometimes we do segments. Sometimes we have fun little times. Just kind of break the ice with our new guests.
You guys, they have to shut their notes, though. They can't look at their notes.
Oh, they don't have notes. And
Dave has notes on Mortal Kombat.
Nobody.
Well,
That's
I'm
just
not-
my, that's
I'm
just
not
my cell
asking.
phone. That's just my phone being there.
Yeah, I mean we have cell phones out during
Okay.
the window, but I'm not going to ask them because they're familiar with the franchise.
Yep.
This is
Oh, yeah.
specifically for you, our A-list celebrity guest here
Yeah.
today. The game is called Mortal Kombat or Sex Act.
Okay.
I am going to read a word or series of words, and you have to tell me if it's a Mortal Kombat character or a sex act.
Oh, my God. Okay.
And I'll tell you at the end how you do on scoring.
Okay, go ahead.
Two of them are both.
Are you prepared?
No, but
Now, this is the high quality content that your listeners have come here to find. If you've ever heard Jackie in a compromising position, get ready. Here we go. Number 1, Kentucky Klondike.
That's going to be a sex act.
Okay. Number 2, Dutch Rudder.
Mortal Kombat.
3, Bareback.
That's sex act.
4, Shrimper.
Sex act.
5, Joking.
Wait, spell it.
Joking. Jelqing.
Can you use it in the
Sex
form of a
act.
sentence?
Next one.
Can you give me its country of origin?
Probably Swedish. I don't know. I don't design these things. Foxtail.
Foxtail? Sex act.
Snowball.
Sex act.
Raw dog.
Sex act.
And finally, Futanari.
Sex act.
Okay. They were all sex acts.
I realized that on the second one.
Now,
Okay.
Now, when we have the video camera set up for this, which I thought would have been very good in this this presentation, because you could see on Jackie's face which ones she knew were sex acts, because she's probably had at least 3 of those done to her at some point in time in her life.
You did look very proud that you knew Futanari, though.
Yeah, that's
Oh, she
Japanese.
really did.
That's Japanese for penis something, because futanara is Japanese word for penis.
It is. Yes. Well, Futanari is when you take a female form and put a giant penis on it.
So,
Well, there you go.
something to do with penis.
So, I mean, but that's good. You did well for your first time of Mortal Kombat or sex act.
Yeah, I'm sure every week it's sex act. Yeah.
And next time when we do Annihilation, we'll do Mortal Kombat or sex act Annihilation.
You know,
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I was really hoping you were going to ask her the same series of questions you asked me when I started, because I really wanted to hear her answers to that.
No. There's lines. I'm fully prepared to cross them over the course of this episode. But I dare you to have the balls to say bareback to your own mother on microphone over the internet.
You guys fully well know the fucked up things that I have put my mom through over the years where that's
This is
concerned. So
This is true.
there's no shame there.
So Mortal Kombat 1995.
Yes.
We're here. So big budget, a little budget, big gross.
Yes.
Yes.
It was like mixed reaction with like critics, but
Critically
I think
reviewed.
fans loved it because at the time, what do we have? Street Fighter,
Street Fighter.
which we will cover at some point.
we
I
had,
swear to God, if we don't cover that,
that's on our list. I know
Oh,
that
it's happening.
because that whole movie is terrible except for one Raw Julia's monologue
Raw
as Bison.
Julia.
And I'll say it now. I'll never forget that line. He's like, "The day that Bison came to your village
oh my God,
was
that's
the most
best line of the whole
important
movie.
day of your life. But for me,
It was just
it
Tuesday.
was Tuesday." It's like, oh, God, he's a heel.
So I don't know how true. And it's like when you look up the stuff on the internet, it's hard to tell like what's really true. You're not vetting anybody
What's
or
not.
sources. But from what I understand, that Jean-Claude Van Damme turned down the role of Johnny Cage to become Guile in Street Fighter. And I wonder sometimes if he thinks about that at night.
No, he's got probably a lot of debts.
Jones, I'm going to confirm that because I also, in my research, came across that tidbit that he was originally going to play Johnny Cage.
He really missed the boat on that one.
See, I heard it was Chuck Norris.
Don't
Chuck Norris is going to play everybody. We all know that.
No, Chuck.
you couldn't put Chuck Norris on Mortal Kombat because the rest of the movie is no longer believable. That's just it. There's no way I'm going to sit there and watch Chuck Norris against Goro and not think that that's so one-sided at this point.
Shang Tsung would yell, "It has begun!" If that's okay with you, Joe.
That's okay.
if that's all right.
So we got Robin Shu
Yes,
We do.
him.
Which, you know, from when we started talking about this episode,
I love him.
your son mentioned to me how big of a fan of the movie you were. And I said, oh, wow, that's really cool. And he goes, more specifically, Liu Kang, Robin Shou.
Robin Shou and
Oh.
his penchant for shirtlessness in this movie.
His mullet.
He didn't really have a mullet until the second movie. In the first one, he did not. He had long feathered hair.
No, it was a feathered mullet, so it wasn't
see
it
his
wasn't
hairs.
white trashy or jagged. So it was well permed, but a mullet it still was.
Okay.
I
Still
can see where Jackie's appeal for Robin Shou comes in for this, because I mean, really, he's only really wearing a shirt for the first maybe 10 minutes of the movie, and then it's just, you know, either barely a tank top or just completely fucking raw dogging it.
Oh yeah, straight
Let's
up.
not forget that the first we see him, he is wearing boxer briefs, getting out of bed.
See, of all the
with green gels.
meticulous notes the three of us took, did anyone have Robin Shou's underwear in the opening scene of the movie written down?
No.
No.
Ah, there it is.
There it is.
That's the kind of
why
kind
we
of
brought you
analysis
on.
we
I
wanted you to bring.
I did draw a weird parallel to our introduction to Robin Shou and Liu Kang in that movie, to also our introduction to Shang-Chi in the Shang-Chi
Yeah,
Legend of the Ten Rings, because they both live in a very similar, you know, style, small apartment, very, you know, real efficiency kind of a deal, bicycle hanging up on the wall kind
That's
of a
good
deal.
pickup.
And
Nice
I
little-
noticed that when I was watching, I was like, well, I'm sure that has to be coincidental, or is it not coincidental? But, you know, yeah, I did
That's a
notice
really
that.
good
That's a good point. I would like to dive into that in a later time and try to see if someone did that on purpose.
Well, Shang-Chi definitely in that movie took a lot from, you know, martial arts movies and kung fu and a lot of genres of Hong Kong martial arts.
Yeah.
And, you know, could I sit there and say, yeah, maybe that was our little ode to Mortal Kombat? I don't know. Kevin Feige, we'll give you a call if you want to come on and
We can talk about it.
talk about it. You know, we have no problem giving you the audience.
Let's not rule anything out. Yeah, for sure.
For sure. So,
He can come in right now. He's not allowed to kiss my wife right on the mouth, but I am fair game.
Okay. You heard it here, folks.
he would be allowed to blow into my girlfriend's butthole if it really came down to that.
That's the kind of courteous nature of you, sir.
I mean, the things we need to do, right? For the podcast. For the people of Peru. For the person Peru.
For the
That
one
The one person.
I wonder why they don't listen anymore.
Because you assaulted them one good time and they never listened.
I have
again.
never
Now-
stopped. It's just like a years long abusive relationship that only stops when I die, and then they have to spend years unpacking that. So
Next we have Lyndon Ashby.
yes.
Well, now here's the big question.
What?
Who is like the biggest actor on this whole film?
Oh, Christopher Lambert.
So we're gonna get to that. in a
Robin
second.
Shou.
Yeah.
Oh, Christopher Lambert.
No.
Robin Shou.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
What besides the two Mortal Kombat movies and Beverly Hills Ninja?
Oh,
what else was he in?
Street Fighter.
Was he in the background in the Street Fighter?
No, he's in the later Street Fighter movie. He plays the newest one. He plays this old man. Look it up.
I'm
But he has a whole slew.
What the
He has a
fuck was that?
whole slew
You should
of
see
Chinese
our guest's
films.
eyes. She's just like envisioning him right now.
I am.
I don't even realize that there was a recent Street Fighter
Look,
movie that
no.
I've
yeah,
been
pull it
in.
up on your phone.
We're not gonna. I don't think we need to put up on your phone. And you went looking for your phone.
it.
I'm gonna do it.
Somebody
do it
do it.
right
That
now.
sounds fine. This is compelling audio content. As I tell you that by a large in a way was Christopher Lambert the most famous person in this movie.
Which reminds me of the point I wanted to make, because I wrote it multiple times in my notes, that he was fucking useless in this whole movie.
Oh, he's completely fucking useless.
Every line he had was terrible.
He is almost as useless as Sub-Zero in this movie.
Don't get me started on
Sub-Zero
that.
is, and I know why, because again, research, which I never even realized. You know, growing up with this movie, because we were 13,
Yeah.
Jones, when this movie came out.
Right.
Prime candidate for why this movie was made, right? They wanted to originally make Mortal Kombat a rated R movie. So, well, I'll
Wait a minute,
just...
it can't be this recent. Michael Clark Duncan's in
He's
that
dead.
movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about
Okay.
that?
New rule: let's keep our phones off the table.
Okay,
I can
sorry.
hear them in every single microphone.
He's 100% in the Chun-Li movie.
Is he?
Yes.
How about that?
I feel like I actually knew that. So
Okay.
I saw this film and I didn't like it then either.
It could be worse. It could have been the Dragon Ball Z
He was in.
We don't talk
He was
about
in the new Twilight Zone remake as well.
You started with Twilight.
And I almost got
Then
really
you added
nervous.
Zone remake,
Yeah.
and it just took the whole story.
Yeah, he was in the Twilight Zone
whole thing.
remake.
So,
Yeah.
sorry, Mac, what were you saying?
Well, first off, I was actually probably genuinely excited about talking about Twilight in that case for different reasons. But you know, I actually kind of lost my thought of where I was going with that.
Sub-Zero.
Yeah. So as I was doing my research on this, the actor who played Sub-Zero in the movie, and I'll have to get his name pulled up here, was also the fight trainer for the other actors in the film, and he also was the highest rater Francois Petit, the actor who played Sub-Zero. He was also the fight trainer for most of the actors, so he was doing so much work behind the camera that his use in the film was very limited to just really those 2 scenes that he was in. Well, 3. The introduction on the boat, the freezing the guy
Where they ruined that buffet.
where they were in the buffet, and then his
Sacrificial
fight
lamb.
with Liu Kang, which also I think the shortest and probably most disappointing of the fights in that movie.
Yeah.
Even though, as I watched it again, he was the most legit actual ninja that they had in that movie. He was the highest rated martial artist on that entire set, like bar none. He's internationally renowned, and he was also like in his mid 40s when he was filming that movie.
Way to
So, pretty amazing, but very upset that character was minimalized as much as he was because of everything else he had to do on that film.
Wasn't
Interesting.
Robin Shue the choreographer of the fight stuff?
Well, he was a choreographer of specifically the fight with Reptile.
Okay.
When they tested the movie, one of the main bits of feedback that came back about it was that there wasn't enough fighting in the movie.
Yeah.
The fight with Scorpion ended with the shadow kick, I think, in the field, from what I was reading about the movie. And the entire fight with Reptile didn't actually happen. Reptile got pulled into the statue that was on the ground, and that was kind of it. They never really intended in the original version of the script to have Reptile come into human form and fight. So Robin Shue choreographed that entire fight with Reptile, which I would say is the best fight of the movie.
I would give you that. It's definitely top 2.
Definitely my favorite one.
And followed closely by what they had to add in for the Scorpion Johnny Cage fight, which they also had to really ramp that up, which they did in reshoots.
Well, fun fact about that fight. During that fight, Robin Shue fractured 3 ribs during the choreography, and only told the guy who played Reptile about it.
Yeah, don't hit me on this side.
Yeah, because he didn't want to go to the hospital.
Right.
Nice. Way to go.
Most of the actors, they
He's
all did
so
their
brave.
stunts
Oh,
in
yeah.
that movie.
He's so brave and strong.
You know what? We'll tweet.
Winning points.
We will tweet Robin Shue the link to this, and I don't know,
He
Robin.
won't
If you have
respond.
something else to do, sweet. I will hold no respect. But if you're listening to this, then my mother has been waiting since 1995 to hear from you. I don't know why you haven't called her back.
Well-
that's just kind of a dick move.
I was saying it's kind of a dick move,
It is.
Robin.
No, I won't say it. But, I mean, Robin...
I mean, are you really worried about alienating your fans? I mean, just go ahead and say it.
Or alienating
there-
Robin Shue.
Or just
No.
alienating your
You know,
son
okay.
because he's not ready to hear that come out of your mouth.
I've written Robin Shue like 5 or 6 times. And then the last time, I was like, look, if you don't respond back to me, it says on your website you respond to every fan. You don't respond back to me, I'm going to take the character of Henry and I'm just going to make him the worst character in the beginning series. And he didn't respond back. So I did. I just destroyed Henry. He's a
a minute.
weasel.
Have you ever heard of the song Stan?
I was just gonna say the same thing.
What?
You're having a Stan moment.
Well, there's
little pit.
There's a very vital piece of information that Jackie's leaving out about this. In the email, she attached a photograph of her. If you go to those really high end like sushi restaurants, they will have a woman or a man come out with the sushi on them, and you actually eat the sushi off of their bodies. We actually did those photos with Jackie and sent that in the email.
It didn't work.
It wasn't sushi
did
though,
not
because
work.
we didn't have the budget. It was just double cheeseburgers from McDonald's. But it's still, we had the essence of it, and I think maybe that was I'm not going to say the wrong direction to go in, but maybe not the right direction to go in.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right?
We took it. We took it.
I didn't even think we knew what sushi was in 1995. Just saying.
How many photos of Robin Shou have you cut the eyes out of?
What?
Never.
Never. I will tell you though.
Scratched them out.
I have printed pictures of Robin Shou off the internet and told people that he sent them to me. And I was a grown ass woman too.
I love it.
You got
I had people who actually believed that he was my pen pal. And what was so funny is when they found out the truth, nobody believed me that Charlton Heston was. Yeah.
You gotta sprinkle in a little bit of A, a little bit of B.
So we were getting so weirdly off topic.
It's getting
But
weird.
there's one thing we
Robin
haven't
Shou.
done yet. We haven't talked about our beverages.
We haven't. So we have a
true.
tradition here on the show where we like to put the listener in our shoes and in our hands and sometimes in our mouths by telling them what beverage we're imbibing at this time. So, Miss Jackie, why don't you tell everyone what we're drinking today?
Ladies and gentlemen, we are drinking Oakspire beer.
It is a bourbon barrel ale,
Special reserve.
4 Roses.
New Belgium.
I'm chasing it with Starbucks.
She really is double fisting.
She actually really is. And that's
She
a
is.
weird double fisting.
It's really
It is.
I was all prepared to do shots for this episode until you came and told me, I'm going to stop at Starbucks on the way over to record this. And I'm like, as your son, I can't responsibly say that you're going to drink espresso, beer, and whiskey
I could do
in
espresso
my
whiskey
house at
but-
the same time.
When do you know your mom to not show up someplace with Starbucks?
Yeah, always. It's like even if I don't drink it, it's
I
in my
don't
hand.
know that there's ever been a time that I've ever been around your mom where she hasn't had Starbucks.
You have not been with her at a place that she knows that they have Bloody Marys then, because she does not. The Bloody Mary is the pregame for the Starbucks.
But Bloody Marys are only good before 5 o'clock.
She sneaks Starbucks into places you don't even have to sneak it into. She's like walking around like
The movie theater.
In a movie theater.
I put it in my purse, walking in the movie theater with my purse. Nobody's going to stop me holding my
But
purse.
she has a cleansing ritual before she has a Bloody Mary. She's like, she lights some sage, and then that's how
I
she
love
does
a good
it.
Bloody Mary. There's nothing better than a good Bloody Mary. Before 5.
Before 5.
Before
Is
5.
it- what
After 5,
happens-
it doesn't taste the same.
I was going to say, what happens after 5? You
It
turn into
doesn't-
like gremlins?
it-
you just have
doesn't
demon
taste
spawn
the
come off your
same.
back?
I've tried a Bloody Mary after 5. It doesn't taste the same.
Yeah, it's like Sheets while the sun is out.
Yeah.
Never go to Sheets while the sun is out.
I've tried it. It's not the same.
gross and horrible. Sheets is the equivalent of that chick that's left at the bar at the end of the night. Now, when your day started off great, you had no idea that your night was going to end up there. And why would you think so? The day is young and you have so much ahead of you. You could sleep with anybody today. Just like you could eat at any restaurant. I could eat anything. Everywhere is open. And then all of a sudden, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you realize your options are real limited. And there at the end of the bar, with a denim jacket, it's got a bunch of nacho cheese stains, fucking Sheets. And it's looking at you. And it wants you. And you want it. And you're going to feel fucking terrible about it. But it's that or nothing.
Or nothing.
Well, you wake up the next morning next to that wrapper and you realize that you had a
What
couple.
you've done.
You had those 2 chili dogs for $1 and you just got a little bit of that nacho cheese on your
Right
lip,
in
and you
there.
just there it is. So.
Cheese curds everywhere.
It's funny that you mention Sheets. So for those who may not know about Sheets, I know it's been mentioned before in previous episodes.
It has.
But I would attribute it to, in Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle.
Yeah.
It really is of that White Castle mold, if you will.
Yeah.
Have you ever been to White Castle?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think Sheets is worse than White Castle. I mean, White Castle could be pretty good if you go there at the right time.
I think any place can be good if you go there
Not
at the right
Sheets.
time.
Theoretically, yeah.
Yeah. But I recently went to Sheets the other night because we have a worker shortage in our city, and restaurants close basically at 8
All over
o'clock
the
now.
United States of America, yeah.
Yeah. So there are 2 McDonald's really in the area that's still open, and then it's like if you want to do that, go there or just go to Sheets. And I remember being there and just the cross section of America that I
it's
saw
the nexus of the
that
universe.
I saw in that place was just astounding. And I remember texting a work colleague of ours, Dave, from the back at Toys R Us. I just texted him and I said, Dave, why is Sheets?
Why?
Why?
Just why?
If you ever use Sheets, use the app. Order early, order it in, and go walk in that store and grab it.
Well, most of our audience does not know what Sheets or Wawa are.
Well, they live
But-
in Ohio, West Virginia, or Pennsylvania. They do.
Well, again, I reiterate, most of our audience does not live in those areas, so they do not know. But they will know when I say, imagine a gas station that pretends to be more than it is.
More than it is.
You know, it's like a glow up. You know, it's like that person that you went to high school with, but likes to say the H in whipped. You know,
It's whipped.
Yeah.
right? That's what Sheets tries to do. But speaking of things trying to be more than they are, this
Kombat.
fucking
About the movie.
this fucking movie.
Miss Jackie, this is what typically happens on every single episode. We spend the first 45 minutes talking about absolutely nothing, not the subject, and then eventually
Everything but.
we get to the subject.
And then we realized, how long did it take
How-
us? Oh, we did this in a half an hour. So
That's actually pretty good.
we're making good time.
So let's talk about the movie, right?
All right.
I mean, we start with the dream.
Oh, no. The first thing in this entire movie
Yeah, we
is
get the
someone
intro.
shouting the fucking name of the movie.
Yes.
The very first thing you hear over New Line Cinema is some asshole yelling Mortal Kombat.
Listen, that intro is amazing.
That
yeah,
intro
it's
is
iconic.
absolutely iconic.
It's iconic, but some reason, some guy just yelled Mortal Kombat, and KMFDM's like,
Is-
that fucking thing.
is
That's
there-
going to be all over
It's
this.
the commercial. Remember the old commercials? The Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis commercial. That's
Yeah.
where this all comes from.
Yeah.
Those guys standing through Mortal Kombat. I just
Yeah.
watched that commercial for the first time in like 30 years last night.
You went and you found
and
it.
I was like, oh my, I remember all of this.
Just the place that guy went to get that to come out of himself is amazing in itself.
dark
I was
place.
trying to do that on the drive over here as we went to record this, and I pulled something. I don't. It's
Never been the same.
something in my lower back is not feeling the same that it did.
But it's a cool intro. You got the flames. You got the
Oh,
the
man,
smooth
yeah, the
surfaces.
whole thing.
Is-
But it's the movie equivalent. Yelling the name of your movie as the first line you hear in your movie is like the fucking musical equivalent to like Limp Bizkit yelling Limp Bizkit
Limp Bizkit!
or Luda. Like to open like thank you for reminding me who I'm listening to and what I'm watching. It's fucking ballsy, but I respect it.
Then we get to the dream.
Is there?
green
Is
dream.
it a dream? Though, I mean, like, he's dreaming it, but is it a dream or is it a message put in his
Well,
head?
I mean, it's a little bit of
Yeah,
both,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I just assumed that it wasn't happening real time, obviously, because he got the letter, the Western Union.
The Western
Union-
product
Western
placement for
Union.
Western Union. I
Which, by the way,
way to go.
Western Union
brother
in
dead,
1995.
return home, grandfather. Fuck. Couldn't he sprung for a few more syllables, a few
Couple
more
extra-
words?
No, you have to pay for that by the
Yeah,
by
that's
the
like
letter.
20
So,
that's
yeah,
20
you gotta-
spaces.
Again,
But
he
really,
could have
like-
sprung for a little bit more for
You could have cut grandfather down.
Like,
and like
brother
just
dead.
Put
Pat.
my bad. Right? Like at the end of that would have softened it something.
That was the equivalent of when you used to do the collect call on the payphone to your parents.
Yeah.
Collect call from.
Collect call from. Come pick me up now.
My practice is done quick. Boop. Yeah.
I don't remember Western Union being a thing at all in my lifetime.
Oh, for sure it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, people used to Western Union money to each other. And you could
That
still
I'm
tell
talking about, but the messages I don't. Really,
Well,
not when you're
the way we could justify this, even though this was 1995, is that look where these people lived.
Okay, they
Yeah.
live on a mountain.
They had to take a boat and probably like a horseback to get to the closest Western Union
Oh
place.
man, like there's everything we could only travel by a river.
Yeah.
Right? Like walking wasn't because the jungle was so dense that it wasn't even an option. Right? Like you just basically waded in a direction. And the river, spoiler alert about rivers, they only go one way.
That's true.
So
It's true.
one of those two ways when you arrive or leave, you're taking the fucking long way.
Noah Brown spitting facts here tonight.
Rivers only go on.
Break only one
Yo, what's up?
direction.
Yo, Peru, recognize the sweet geography I got for
Peruvians
you.
know they go in one direction.
They
One direction.
Peruvians
Oh my God.
can go any way they want. Okay,
Fair enough.
I
What
love
about-
how Herb Jones keeps pulling it back to the movie?
he tries.
He tries.
I'm
And
trying
I
real hard to
fucking
keep
You
us
are,
going.
you are.
Focus
Somebody-
on what we're trying to do and accomplish here.
I want to talk about Liu Kang's apartment.
Because you've met your son.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, she made me the way I am.
did,
You
I
also
did.
both know my father and know that if I was like my father, I'd be like, huh, okay, cool, yeah. That's pretty wild, right? Yeah, okay.
welcome to the Nothing Good podcast,
This is a-
everybody.
this is a-
And
podcast.
then wait, don't forget about the way your father laughs.
just saying a little sweet something to Germany over there.
He listens to the show and
Does he?
And yes, he does.
Oh,
And he
that's
texts
great.
me and he's like,
I'm sorry, Mr. Brown.
he's like, you have very nice
I'm not.
speaking voices. Like, first of all, very kind compliment,
That's
Dad. and I
on brand
appreciate
for
it.
him.
It is, but I
He
just
doesn't compliment. He told me when I first met his father, Okay, I was so young. We won't say how.
We aren't going to go into how young they were. This podcast would take off.
Okay.
So anyway,
no, he told me he doesn't compliment. Okay, so unless a person, because you shouldn't compliment somebody for doing what they're supposed to do, is what his father used to say.
I agree with that.
Hold on, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. So you are the age that you were when you met my father, and my father was the age that he was, and he says that to you, and that doesn't send up a fucking red flag to you right away. Like
whatever.
You heard that, and you're like, I'm still here for this.
I really didn't like it. I didn't like your father when I first met him.
What everybody needs to know is that Jackie is only 3 years older than Noah.
I'm not, in the scope of things, like who's that lady that was on Dynasty? She's causing all kinds of ruckus now.
I don't pay attention.
What show?
Dynasty, it was years ago.
I've never watched an episode of Dynasty.
What is Dynasty?
I've seen
It was an
Shooting
old show
JR
from the 80s. It's back on now.
Was I alive?
Yeah, well, it's on now again.
Okay.
But Joan Collins, there's more of an age difference between her and her husband than between you and I.
I just want you to know, I don't know what our target
So I can marry
demographic
Dave
is.
and keep
I
it.
don't know what our target demographic is, but they won't fucking get Joan Collins in Dynasty.
Look up Joan Collins naked.
I'm just
You
hoping.
don't have to be that close to the microphone.
I do.
I'm
Do
just
not look up Joan Collins.
Look
Unless you
up
really
Joan
want to,
Collins.
then who am I? I'm not going to
No,
judge you.
I'm- I'm-
guys. I'm already on it.
I'm not your keeper. Do what the fuck you want, but
Just in case, Dave, load it in an incognito browser. Just
No,
in case.
I need the world to know this.
Okay.
Okay.
So let's talk about Liu Kang's apartment. Well, everyone Googles
Not
shooting-
much of it. Not much of
It's
it. They just
concrete.
show.
It's fucking concrete.
Because they assumed everybody in America had concrete walls.
No,
like they
this
do in
movie's
China.
made by Americans.
There it
though.
is, guys. By the way, yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's Joan Collins. For those of you in the audio world,
I love
this
how-
is what Joan
here's-
Collins looks like naked.
Here's what's funny is that I was gonna say, hey, add nude to that, but both of my friends just decided to look up this person nude. So
listen, if one of my second moms says, "Hey, Google that shit,"
That's
yes,
right.
ma'am. I'll
you
Google
know,
it.
Robin Shu, if you're still listening, this is taking a strange turn, and we hope you're on board. Robin Shu, I hope you also Google Joan Collins naked from Dynasty.
At his age,
Yeah.
I'm sure he has.
Yes, I mean, why not? If he hasn't,
He is,
he has
because
now.
he just actually turned 61 on July 17th.
He's 61 years young.
He was born July 17th.
I'll drink to that.
1960.
Yeah.
I'll drink to Robin Shu, to Liu Kang being 61.
Liu Kang 61.
Hashtag still my Liu Kang.
That's right.
Hashtag still hot.
Oh, without question, he is still my Liu Kang.
Yeah.
The portrayal of Liu Kang in the current version of the movie,
Which isn't Liu Kang, but it is.
it isn't, but it is.
They try
it
to find a
was,
lookalike.
It did not do the role justice at all.
Do you think it's because they didn't get into the background stories like they did in the first one?
Well,
they really got into their background stories in the first one.
So there's a way of filmmaking that was done in the 80s and 90s that is not done necessarily
it anymore.
today. And that is, firmly taking the first act to establish your characters, their motives, and their weaknesses, because you're really trying to show the journey of the characters and are they going to achieve their destiny at that point.
Like an actual film.
Like an actual
Yeah.
film, just like they kind of teach you how to do it. And movies today, we are more concerned about the splash factor. And again, I will blame Michael Bay and Transformers for really all of this.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, you don't know where you are. You're in enemy territory. We have a long-standing
I love
rule
him.
that fucking Michael Bay is the fucking worst, Ma.
No,
he's
okay, he
so
is.
bad.
Okay, but I have learned so much from Michael Bay's movies on how to move a novel. But you are absolutely right, because the impatience of people to get to the point, okay, has taken over everything from movie making to novels. Like back
Wait
in the
for that
day,
payoff.
you could write a novel and use the first quarter of it to establish your characters, okay, just like you said. But now, if you do that, people are like, boring. So you got to get to the point in the first chapter of what your book is about. Maybe digress a little bit later.
We are at least, I think, 30 to 40 minutes into the movie before there's a real fight scene that actually takes place. And it's not even a fight in the tournament. It is a fight of
the
just at the buffet
Right.
Yeah.
when they go trying to follow Shang Tsung, and then they kind of stumble into Kano and Goro eating at their own private table. and then they kind of get lost, right?
Yeah.
They can't find their way back. And, you know, it's going into because you mentioned it earlier, Jones, that this is the greatest video game adaptation in the history of cinema. And
I stand behind that.
And I was thinking about that as I was watching the film and giving it like a real. I mean, look, it's a popcorn movie.
Oh, absolutely.
You go for
I'll give you that.
I've never taken the time to really critically break down what was actually being done to tell the story until preparing for this. And
Thank God for this podcast.
Right. I know. So there are really a lot of things, and of course Paul W.S. Anderson now as we call him, really gave this a lot of care.
You could tell
as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And as he has also adapted what I would say is probably in the top 3 or 4 video game adaptations, Resident Evil. As he does that as
Sonic
well.
the Hedgehog left my mouth. I would
say that one more time.
As Sonic the Hedgehog left my mouth,
Just making sure you said it twice,
and then went to his brother's house for something.
How did that feel?
Prickly.
Was it blue?
You know,
Is it blue?
it all happened so fast.
And he left a few. He left a few.
I'm going to go ahead
behind.
and say that Resident Evil Apocalypse, the hybriding of the video games Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil Code Veronica, is a better movie than this movie.
You're a fucking liar.
I am not a fucking liar. That movie is
You
fucking
are.
better
No,
than this
That
Resident
movie.
movie's
Evil
really not good. None of those
Apocalypse
movies
is
are
not
good.
good.
Those movies are awful.
Oh,
No, wait. Did
no,
anyone see the new
they're
one that's
all
on Netflix
awful.
that's all CGI? It's like the actual video game.
I'd like to. I haven't got
We
around to
haven't
it.
watched it yet, but I didn't know if anyone had watched it.
No, and we won't
Origins, yeah.
mention
It was Origins.
Final Fantasy the Spirits with it.
No.
That never actually happened.
It did.
I watched it, and I don't remember any of it.
I generally disagree with the entire
What
premise
about
of Final
Mario
Fantasy.
Brothers?
So
Yeah.
What was
Yeah,
that,
okay.
Miss Jackie?
what was that?
Mario
Excuse me.
Brothers.
You mean
What?
Spawn of the Devil?
No,
No, Mario Brothers.
Yeah,
Mario
Spawn of the
Brothers
Devil.
is a fucking amazing film. Since she's getting so close to the microphone, I want to get
I
in there.
hear, Bubby.
Yeah. Because I have it here. Ready for this?
Bubby.
Ready? Try it now.
I'm trying right
Hold
now.
on. Wait. Which one are you? Are you that one? Yeah, you're that one. Is that you?
You just got really loud. That's
Okay.
me.
No, who,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can't hear
That's
this,
better
dear
now.
listener.
Yeah.
But I'm modifying the headphone volume. Is that you in your head?
I think it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it loud now?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
there it is. So
No,
back the
I'm-
fuck
I'm
off the
right-
microphone.
I am
Mom.
off. I'm watching my levels in the thing. Bubby.
I'm watching.
Bubby,
I
I'm
can
watching-
hear you peeking.
Your back is
You're
to
like-
the peeking.
you're like,
I'm watching it through the corner of my eye. This is when I
This is
peek, and
better.
I still haven't
You know what?
peeked.
Everyone get close. Everyone get close.
I don't know if I
Join
want
in.
to.
Join in. Doc, you always got to be that one.
Because I am the one.
I am not going to be that one. I'm getting
I
real
am that
close.
Jeopardy
Let's all take a
contestant.
minute. Let's all take a minute.
I
And
mean
let's
the
just
Jeopardy
breathe.
contestant.
Let's all just breathe.
I'll take potpourri for 1,200. Alex.
I'll
Fuck
take.
the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Don't you fuck the Super Mario Brothers.
The movie's fucking terrible.
That movie's fucking.
There's
you
no
know it. I can't wait
fucking.
until we
there's
cover
no
this.
fucking.
So bad,
All right,
but
I'm not
it's-
kidding.
I feel like
can't.
everybody and
I
their
can't.
mother knows this. I'm pointing to your mother. She
You
knows
just-
this.
Pointing to my
Everybody.
actual
She
mother.
is. The example has never been literally in front of me until Jones just pointed that out.
So,
Yeah.
But
I still like the Super Mario Brothers movie.
you-
but
you're
that's
allowed
not-
to like it and you
let's-
can be wrong.
Let's take it back to
the movie took itself seriously
did.
with Mortal Kombat without actually taking itself too seriously. It realized, and again, in doing some additional kind of research about this, and trying to find behind the scenes of Mortal Kombat
There is.
1995.
I own the TNT special on VHS somewhere, and if I had a VCR that I could play and knew which VHS it was on, it was an hour long.
It was.
I watched it multiple times because it went deep dived on everything about the movie.
But of course, because it was what you said it was on TNT, right? It was not a part of the DVD as a release because they
No.
couldn't get the licensing for it. And I was very surprised when I was going through the DVD how there were really no special features.
No.
They had character backgrounds about the characters that were from the video game.
From the video game
video game manual.
From the
exactly.
manual,
Which I
from the
thought
first
was
movie.
which I thought was awesome.
That's super
right?
cool.
I love that.
What other movie did we previously cover this that Masters of the Universe had as a special
Yes.
feature?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah, yeah,
random text in a DVD menu for you to enjoy. It's like, here's your fucking extra content.
Yeah.
Gotta love that quality stuff.
But I think they kind of realized that, and you can see with the dialogue with Raiden and with Johnny Cage that embrace the absurdity of what's really happening around you.
Yeah.
And kind of play with it. Because as you said, with Christopher...
Lambier.
Christopher...
You can say
He'll
Lambert.
always be Lambert to me.
I mean, there can be only one.
Listen,
That's
I
right.
still can't pronounce, even though we spent like a literal hour on it in the Children of Men episode, now available in the archives, on how to pronounce this guy's name. Will you tell me? Shitwell? Shit real well?
Did you say Shitwell?
Chitwell Ejiofor?
Chiwelte Ejiofor.
Ejiofor.
Yes, thank you. I still can't do it, but Christopher Lambier, that could be my flex. Lambier.
Chiwetel
Ejiofor.
There you go.
Yeah.
There it
I
is.
took a second. Chiwetel.
Also known in, for you, Mother, Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay.
The one that turns evil at the very end of the
Baron
movie.
Mordo.
Yeah, Baron Mordo. The one that makes
Mordo.
Benjamin Bratt not walk again.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which I
okay.
think, in a way, we all wish we could make Benjamin Bratt not
Wait,
walk.
I like Benjamin Bratt.
Yeah. I mean, I love a movie
Have you
we
ever
should definitely
seen
cover
his-
is Demolition
It's just
Man.
going right back to
No.
Miss
No,
Congeniality.
wait,
Is really
have you
where it
ever
goes.
seen? Yeah, no. The remake of Andromeda Strain, he is brilliant in that.
He's also in Coco. He's also okay, I don't want to spoiler for the 8 people that are going to listen to this, and of those people who hasn't seen Coco, but he's Eduardo de la Cruz. He's the big singer that ends up stealing. Yeah,
I may like that movie better now.
the movie's amazing.
So
I didn't
good.
like it.
So
I never cried harder.
That destroyed me in the theaters. I remember being in the theaters looking at that, and like I heard this is really sad, but I'm not like crying. Oh wait, what's that? What they're doing?
Yeah.
What? Oh my god! And then just like I looked over at Stephanie, and I'm really happy she had the same kind of feeling that I was having, because it was about to be like an ugly cry in that theater, like real bad. I was just like, "Is this really happening?" And she looked at me like, "Fuck yeah, it is!" And I was just like, "Oh my god!"
I really
it was
wanted
a
that.
lot.
You told me it was sad.
It's
You
the-
told me I was going to ugly cry, and I was like, huh?
It's the
Well,
only
it's-
movie that I've ever cried so hard that I literally went to my kitchen, dry sobbing, and got Gatorade to put fluid back into my body, so I had something else to fucking cry.
I have not seen it. I've been meaning to get around to it.
It's
So-
fun.
No, it's not.
It is
It's not.
good.
It's all
It's so
bad.
good. Jesus.
The movie that made me cry like that recently was Endgame. I sobbed. And
I mean, we all
sobbed
cried.
all the
Which
way down.
Endgame are
My
we talking
wife
about?
cried
Are we
pretty
talking
hard.
about Avengers Endgame, or the
Avengers
one that your
Endgame.
son and Herb Jones are in from Dangerwood Pictures in conjunction with Gray Street Films?
I don't think she's ever seen it,
Oh no! I
The award-winning Endgame,
which is nice. Which
yes,
is good to know.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's my
back
plug for
to
the episode.
where we are. Luke
Mortal
Kang. We are literally can't get out
So
of the first
I
fucking
wanted
scene in
to
the
say
movie.
something that Mac brought up, and I thought was really cool because I didn't write it down, but I kept thinking it, especially like second act, especially. I started really thinking you could tell that the crew, the people handling, the props, the lighting, everything, they really were trying to make this look good. I mean, there's look. To be fair, a lot of shots that like are a lot of backdrops, and the ship looks like a haunted castle ship, a haunted house ship.
It does.
Well, also
But
keep
you could really feel that they really believed in this movie.
Yeah.
And it came through. It's very rare that I watch a movie.
they did try.
It's more than try. You could tell they're really making this the best version it possibly could be, with the exception of the script.
so
I thought it was good.
The script is awful.
it's
Mac.
so in 1995, everybody, there may not have been a larger video game franchise that was hitting a creative and visual peak quite like Mortal Kombat was at that time, because this movie came out right before MK3, and they actually embed in the credits of the movie and in certain scenes. In that fight scene with Reptile, there are symbols on the wall that you can actually put in for cheat codes.
I remember that.
When how big Mortal Kombat really was. I mean, when my brother was working at Toys R Us, we got Mortal Kombat before it came out. He was able to take his copy home like 3 days before it was able to be sold to the public, because he did a pre-sale, and he was working back in video games. So we had 3 full days of playing this game before a lot of people pretty much did. And the game was just revolutionary. And trying to capture that feel into the movie, as you said, Jones, you could really tell, because New Line Cinema getting the rights to make this was not an easy process. And there were a lot of companies that wanted to turn this into a TV series or to, other groups wanting, and there are a lot of names that were floated around for this. Now, of course, when you're talking about, characters that you get versus characters you're floating around, one of the opening scenes of the movie is when we get introduced to Johnny Cage. Yeah. And he's on set and he's making the film. And they yell cut, and you go back, and we see the camera and everything, and he's like, that's it. I'm going back to my trailer. I'm going to put a bullet in my head. And then the director, who looks just like Steven Spielberg.
Was supposed to be him.
Was apparently supposed to be Steven Spielberg because he was a huge fan of the video game. Now, again, when you kind of see, who you get versus who's being floated around. Another character, and actually was cast in the film because New Line Cinema, The Mask just came out. Cameron Diaz
she was going to be Sonya Blade.
Signed on to be Sonya Blade, and the only reason why she wasn't is because she broke her wrist in training.
Like the original Jax died.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
Really?
Not that it mattered because he was unimportant to the entire story.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
He
He
is
is like a blip in the first movie.
Yeah.
He's a Jax is a total cuck in this movie, which we'll cover later. But, he's actually one of those things oh, Jax, and then you realize how he acts and how Sonya treats him. You're like,
I do like that for this movie they really kept it to the characters from the first video game, with the exception of really putting Katana into it.
Yeah.
Which I do think narratively was an important piece to moving that along.
yeah.
But I do like that they just kept it to that really core group that you kind of got introduced to the first video game. And then, of course, with Bridget Wilson Sampras she was originally cast as Sonya, and then she ended up doing Happy Gilmore.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? No, Billy Madison. Sorry.
Billy
Billy
Madison,
Madison, not Happy
Gilmore.
Gilmore. Billy Madison, sorry. She got cast to do Billy Madison and then wasn't going to do Mortal Kombat now. So they then go ahead and bring in Cameron Diaz because, The Mask just coming out, hasn't quite blown up quite yet. You can get Cameron Diaz at this stage.
Yeah.
And then, of course, it all worked out. She finished shooting Billy Madison early and then was able to go in. She didn't even have any training on that film for her fight scenes. She was learning the fight scenes basically on set between takes as it was happening and filmed all of her own fight scenes herself. Refused a stunt double, which I give her a lot of credit for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which explains why her fight scene is so awkward.
Well, yeah, we'll cover that when we get to that.
It's real
scene.
awkward. It's
pretty
unorthodox awkward.
I have a hard time with some of the tropes that for some strange reason just show up only when Sonya Blade's on the screen.
At this pace, we're never getting to her
No,
fight.
it's going to be an 8-part episode.
For anybody who actually downloads the 8-part epic podcast of the original Mortal Kombat
Noah and I
1995.
learned valuable lessons from Halloween Havoc. We're never doing that again.
If we can help it, right?
Well.
We can't. We set out to do that, and it was a mistake from the minute we started.
I thought she was the weakest link in the whole entire movie.
She was.
She was not believable as a tough guy. Her fights weren't believable. Whether
You
knowing
believed Goro as a
No,
gigantic
but
9-foot half
if you
human,
go to
half dragon?
Annihilation, the replacement Sonya was very believable.
No, I'm going to go on a limb and say she was not the weakest part of this movie. The weakest part of this movie was Christopher Lavier's Raiden.
Just don't say Robin Sheen.
The highest paid actor on that set was Christopher
Lambert.
Lambert.
Also, essentially, and you can kind of see by the dialogue, from all accounts and purposes, kind of really phoned it in.
Oh, full on.
But
Irritatingly so.
but was also not supposed to be in certain other scenes of the movie. And he actually, because the amount of time that they had him for scheduling purposes to shoot his scenes was basically everything on set in California, nothing on location in Tibet where they filmed a lot of the movie. So he was really only supposed to be in those Outworld scenes and those scenes at Shang Tsung's island in the interior and on the boats. But for any of the outside scenes where they filmed in Tibet, he flew himself out under his own dime to make himself available to do that. Also, from what I read, he paid for the cast party after the film wrapped. He did that out of his own out of his own pocket,
He's the
which I thought was
protector of
pretty.
the realm of Earth. So I mean,
He's got to do what he's got to do.
It plays. And I think also they said, too, with having him, because, again, their original floating names around, right? The original person they wanted for Raiden was Sean Connery. Can you imagine what this movie is with Jean-Claude Van Damme as Johnny Cage?
Oh, my God.
Cameron Diaz as Sonya Blade. And then Sean Connery as Lord Raiden. And still Robin Shue as fucking Liu Kang.
No, that would be insane. It might actually, and I'm going to be one of the few positive things to this movie. I'm going to say, I think that movie's worse than the movie we got with Sean Connery, because I've seen the second fucking Highlander movie, and I've seen whatever movie it is. I've tried to block it out where he's in like a.
Wait, there's a second Highlander movie? I thought there could only be one.
there could only be one
the
until there were
only
like
gem of
3
a
other
person.
ones.
Well, there are a whole bunch of them.
fucking gem of a person. And then one where he's in like a unitard with like long hair and all his chest hair. And then I've seen, unfortunately, more Cameron Diaz movies than I want to see. So
No, you haven't.
yes,
No
I
one
have.
has.
No. Are you a fan of Cameron Diaz?
I'm saying no one's seen it.
All you gotta
No.
see is one Cameron Diaz movie, isn't it? More than you want to see.
Yeah, I'd give you that.
Yeah.
I can't ever come back from seeing Vanilla Sky, because every time she's ever
man, that's
showed
a
up
heavy
in
movie.
any other movie, all I hear is her screaming at Tom Cruise in Vanilla Sky, and I can't do it
In the car before it all goes down.
Yeah,
Because she went down.
she did.
And she makes it very clear.
She makes it abundantly clear.
That's probably the one scene I remember more than anything else.
Oh yeah, that's that's literally it.
You know what I'm
And
talking about, right?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have no idea what this
You don't
movie
want
is.
to. Or maybe
No.
you do.
I don't even know the movie.
I
It's
don't.
not a bad movie.
It's a good movie.
It's a remake.
It's a fine movie. Yeah, it's a fine movie. But
Is it better than Mortal Kombat? Which we're
Yes.
discussing?
yeah,
Considerably.
It should be.
I'm trying to get you back in the Mortal Kombat.
Oh, I'm in a
yeah.
Mortal Kombat, but I went to a place for a second.
With Cameron Diaz, Tom Cruise in a car.
Yeah. But regardless, like in Jean-Claude Van Damme, I would say I've seen way too. I may have seen way too many Cameron Diaz movies. I've definitely fucking seen too many Jean-Claude
Yes,
Van Damme
I
movies.
think we can all say that.
And yeah, there's no way that movie's better than what we got, which I guess is a compliment.
I mean,
to-
Bloodsport is pretty much Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, I mean,
Only better.
yeah,
Well,
Kumite. If Liu Kang, if Robin True just dipped his fists in glass,
Just broken glass.
right in there, going after Tong Po, I'm fucking here for it, dude. Note to Robin True, dude. Maybe there's a chance. I don't know. If they haven't remade Bloodsport by now, get in on that shit. Pro tip here from us at Nothing Good.
Yeah.
I really expected him to be Raiden in the new Mortal Kombat. I really was.
That would have been too on
That
the
would have
nose.
been, well, I mean, in the new Mortal Kombat, acting was really, I think, at a minimum.
It was definitely a
for that-
cardboard cutout.
There's
for
a
that
whole lot
movie?
of not. I wanted to
like
make
that.
this point earlier about the differences between the two Mortal Kombat movies. In '95, they had no source material off of a game, only basically what was in a game's instruction manual and how the game played to turn that into a story for a movie. In the newer Mortal Kombat movie, they had decades of games and other movies to be able to say, oh, we'll pick and choose this. And the games themselves now are so hyper realistic and violent. They're like, oh, that's what sells the games. So let's just have someone get punched in the dick for 90 minutes and put it on HBO Max, and that will qualify as a movie. So I think that's the key.
It was really
Goro
bad. It really
Goro
was.
does get punched in the dick. Let's not
Oh yeah,
sugarcoat
there's a lot
this.
of dick punching.
There is
both
some
movies.
guaranteed dick punching in
Yes.
there.
Speaking of the movie.
Yeah, want to bring it back in?
Let's bring it
So
back.
after
So
Liu
rein
Kang's
it back
So Liu
in.
Kang's apartment is where we left
Yeah.
off.
We are still within the first
We're
3
still
minutes
in the
of this
first 3
movie.
minutes.
Okay, so
The
Luke gets
apartment
the
is very
Western Union.
green.
He gets unnecessarily.
I don't
green.
know why it's. Who could sleep in
I
that?
would say that I in my head canon, it's from like some sort of neon sign outside.
That's what
Yeah.
I thought too.
You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, then we take the neon Western Union and we cut to Sonya Blade.
Assaulting people.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It's Hong Kong in 1995. No, I don't want to
It's basically the club from Blade,
Yeah.
but minus vampires.
I don't want to get geopolitical here
Here
for
we
the
go.
listener.
But he's gonna.
But Hong Kong was a British territory until 1997, 2 years after this movie was released, so probably 3 years after the movie was shot. But still, there aren't that many white people in the whole of Hong Kong to have a heavy metal club in the basement of Hong Kong. And Sonya Blade shows up and she's like, fuck these people.
And just,
all
like,
here
throwing
minding
bows.
their own business, having a good time. And she just starts assaulting them.
Just hitting them with her shotgun.
Yeah.
And yes, and her first line, she's a total dick to Jax.
Yes. And Jax took
So
it.
maybe we should wait for backup. Fuck backup. And by the way, Jax, fuck you. And then she just starts hitting people.
That's the first one of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Shang Tsung shows up in Kano's apartment, or his office rather,
Right.
and Kano is very. I want to know why. In our Ninja Turtles episode, we asked why was Splinter so fucking wet.
Because it's a sewer rat.
Yeah. So then that's the answer. Let me ask this question: why the fuck is Kano so wet in this goddamn movie? It's so slobbery. Will she follow me?
Well-
They Shang Tsung, and it's
Well-
like, oh my god.
Well, let's talk about Kano for a second because, in filming the movie, they were convinced that the actor who played Kano, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the name up here because I want to make sure I get it right. Trevor Goddard, right?
It's not Kano.
They thought he was Australian. They're like, this dude's from fucking Australia. No, he's just Cockney. He's
Yeah.
English. and they were so confused on the accent
That's
that they
amazing.
retconned the character of Kano in the future video games to be Australian.
That's
Yeah.
fantastic.
And because I remember, again, drawing parallels between the 1995 version and the one that came out this year, I was like, wow, the fucking Kano is real Australian in this
He's
movie.
real
Like,
Australian.
he is just fucking Australian. He's a Foster's commercial
g'day, mate.
with Crocodile Dundee just sitting there. That's a
Dripping
fucking,
up.
that's a knife.
Serving you a Foster's on a boomerang. That's
Exactly.
all
It was that.
Australian. Yeah.
And a kangaroo punching you in the dick.
A
That's
can of Vegemite.
right. That's what was going on really with that. And they're like, no, the dude's it's fucking Cockney. And they just really misunderstood the accent. But they went so hard with it that they're like, we're just going to make Kano in future versions of this video game Australian
The
and just everybody's
impact
going to buy
of the
it.
movie on the franchise
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah.
It does have its impact over all video game movies going forward. What to do and what not to do. We've never heard from KMFDM ever again.
No.
Some say if you close your eyes and you listen on a warm summer night, you can still hear someone yelling Mortal Kombat.
Listen, that they're getting so many. They still get residuals off of that.
Oh,
Basically,
man.
from if you go to any sporting event and hear any song played during that sporting event, they're getting a check for $15. So they're doing fine.
Someone's doing good.
I do want to mention, I really enjoyed just aesthetically the shot where Liu Kang is approaching the elder or approaching his grandfather. That
The
shot
flags and everybody
was just so cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember enjoying that
Getting
shot
off
nearly
the
as
boat.
much. Yeah, it was cool.
So that it was a good shot. The note that I had from him is he has a real long fucking duffel bag.
He does.
You notice that for what clearly was a tiny little bit of clothes in there. He packed what little he owned of and went back to the Temple of Light. But that's a long fucking bag. So what did you leave with, Liu Kang?
Yeah,
Versus
that's
not
a
come
really
home
long
with?
bag. He never really changes his clothes in the movie
No,
so
so
much.
what are you doing? Yeah.
There's like a person in there
I
probably.
feel like someone's give me that sack over there. I feel like I need a prop getting out of this boat. But yeah, so Sonya follows Kano out of the club. We see that Kano and Shang Tsung are in cahoots.
Right.
And
He threatens him with a knife.
so
a
we
small
get,
knife.
we get our first very rapey vibe from Shang Tsung towards Sonya.
Yeah. It's like a theme.
Sonya Blade.
He wants to do some things to her.
He does. Have we ever seen the movie Rising Sun?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
A long time ago.
Yes. And that's what I always, the actor who played Shang Tsung,
Yep.
who, by the way, I'm just going to call it out now. I had it in for later in the movie. A pet peeve of mine is I know that the idea that a lot of people in Western civilization can't tell the difference, but it's very noticeable when you cast a Japanese man as a Chinese man or as a Korean person in general. And this is a clearly Japanese man who's trying to be a Chinese. And it always bothers me. And this happens to this actor more than any other person I've ever seen, right? But in Rising Sun, he eats sushi off of someone's naked body. But the way he's talking to people in that movie, I'm like, oh man, he wants some sushi with Sonya Blade.
Kerry Tagawa.
Yes.
Yep. Who, and I was going to wait till towards the end and ask this question, but I'm going to pose it now so you guys can think about it. Don't even have to answer. Who carries this movie?
I mean, it's obvious.
Robin Shoe.
Robin Shoe's abs.
His nipples.
I mean, his nipples are they are certainly nipples. I think we can say that.
His
Who do you think
area-
carries the movie?
Oh God, yeah, Shang Tsung does.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Every scene he's in, he steals it.
The whole movie is so my biggest problem, and I don't want to get off topic again. I'll just boil this down to one sentence. But my biggest problem with X-Men First Class was
God.
that,
no,
minute.
you can't. You cannot even.
actually-
You cannot even bring that up.
Wait,
Yeah.
wait, brother. Did
Wait.
you just go from a 1995
I did.
film adaptation.
I didn't.
To reach to like what 2011, 12 maybe
I don't know.
to X-Men First
It
Class
doesn't fucking matter.
to draw some so you can shit talk this movie.
Oh no, I'm actually going to compliment the movie.
I'm here for it.
Okay. I'm going to
This is
shit
good.
talk X-Men First Class, but I'm going to get there and compliment Mortal Kombat. Is that my problem with X-Men First Class was I fucking love the idea of the Charles Xavier, Magneto, and the Kevin Bacon dichotomy. It was when they introduced all the other X-Men and shoehorned a bunch of these other characters
Right.
in there that you lost the gritty, real actorness going on in that movie, and you're like, oh fuck, it's a gratuitous X-Men movie. If this movie had like half of the characters and it was just Robin Shou and Shang Tsung fucking like kind of going back and forth. Oh, you killed, and he's like, no, I'm trying to play by the rules. This movie would have been meatier because those two, there's your heel and there's your baby face, and everything else just kind of fluffs in there.
Well, you have the established, hero and villain, the protagonist and antagonist. Yeah. Because again, we're going back to how you make movies,
yes,
right? Where you have a very clear narrative, and who is your hero? What does your hero want? And does your hero get it? We're not worried about, the periphery characters of this film. We're not necessarily worried about, again, we do establish, Sonya and Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
And, what are their character flaws? And we see, do they embrace the destiny put for them? Johnny Cage is the kind of person never is about other people. He's very for himself. He's only worried about his image. Same thing with Sonya. She's hyper focused on retribution. And you do see, even in the side stories of those characters, when Johnny Cage steps up to fight Goro, because he has to. Somebody has to. He doesn't want it to be Sonya Blade. He knows that it's what he's got. It's the first thing that he really does that is not for himself. And, Sonya having to be able to trust other people is a big part of her character arc throughout the movie. But those two side stories of those characters do not take away from what you're talking about, which is the Liu Kang wants to fuck up Shang Tsung. Yeah. And when is he going to finally get to that point? Yeah. And of course, everything is to make sure that when he does get to that point, that he's ready. Because at the beginning of the movie, you're not ready. He's going to fucking kill you.
Oh, he is.
And then at the end of the movie, no, you are fucking ready because you've taken those steps to embrace who you're supposed to be and that classic, cinema or storytelling trope that you have. So, but
you're right.
But on those points, though, we really downplay Raiden's role.
We do.
We really downplay Kano. Mm-hmm. We really downplay the ninjas, which everybody was there for.
Oh, yeah.
I want fucking Scorpion and I want Sub-Zero. And of course, the new movie, that's the focus.
Right.
Those are the characters really that the movie should have been about. And in the new Mortal Kombat movie, I felt that's where the movie was strongest. When you had the Scorpion Sub-Zero story. And then, Liu Kang and Sonya and Jax and all the other fucking characters they put in that movie really didn't matter.
I thought Raiden, they established Raiden a lot better in the new movie than they did, in the original.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There's so many characters. That's the problem with a video game franchise that isn't just like four people. When you start getting into a large cast of characters, someone's going to love some character that gets dicked out of being in this movie, and you're always going to feel strongly about it. You know? So Jack shows up at Mortal Kombat Annihilation and he fights a fucking centaur, which we'll get.
Yeah.
One day we're just going to cover that movie just out of pure spite for the movie's existence.
I feel like if we're talking about this one, it's someday we have to talk about it.
Because that movie's... I sent you those links. Did you guys watch that video?
Yes.
No. Wait, was this what you sent the other day?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I thought you said we sent it today.
It was so comically bad.
But Annihilation?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's this...
Do you remember how many times I went to the movie theater?
You like that movie?
Oh my god, yes.
No, Miss Jackie.
I saw it like 5-6 times in the movie theater.
I think you were the only person who saw that movie. I was the only
one in the movie theater.
I have known you
Galleria.
for
Galleria, yes.
Most of my life. Not all of it, but most of it. I have a high regard for you on a personal, emotional level. But if you tell me that you really like Mortal Kombat Annihilation, I swear to God, and everything you believe in, I will revoke your mom card.
Listen.
And it breaks my heart.
Listen.
I thought you were going to say...
listen,
This
Miss
is
Jackie.
where-
It
this
breaks
is
my
where
heart to
men-
tell you this.
This is where I differ. If there is an actor that I enjoy in a movie, unless he's portrayed badly, I will love the movie.
I thought you were going to threaten to punch my mother in the face.
Then look at
I
Noah's
will
getting all
punch
right.
you in the fucking face, Miss
He's
Jackie.
gonna straight
And
up
Both my mom cried.
Here's the thing.
Liam
is
Neeson
depending on how strongly I feel about Mortal Kombat Annihilation was how prepared I was to stop you or not.
So he says to me, if I tell him that I really, really liked it, he will revoke my mom card.
And I don't want to.
I did not really, really like it.
Okay,
There
we're
you
okay
go.
then.
I loved it.
Oh, come on.
There is a place in cinema history for Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Where?
You know where.
Yeah.
Okay. I think you guys all need to watch it again.
You need to watch it again.
Okay,
So-
I haven't
What
watched
you
it
think?
since it came out, so it's
I-
hard to say.
Yeah, that movie's awful.
I tried watching it, and it is easily in my bottom 5 movies I've ever seen.
There
in
are
my
few
life.
films as badly written,
It's one of the worst movies ever made.
shot.
Easily one of the worst
Acted.
ever made.
I can't figure out why Robin Shue was even in it.
Titanic.
They had to have paid him so much.
A lot of
Titanic
money.
is the worst written movie ever. Not the one with Barbara Stanwyck and Clifton Webb. But if you look at
There's
Titanic,
another version of Titanic
Yeah,
that
I
didn't
did
have
not
Leonardo
know.
DiCaprio.
I mean,
It was
honestly, there's a
amazing.
bunch of versions of
was
Titanic.
that-
It
that-
did actually
the
happen,
Barbers-
and people
yeah.
were cashing in all the time. How many 9/11 movies are there?
like 3.
Right?
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, too
But,
many.
One too many.
But the whole entire, I'm going to chase this guy around that I just met 2 days earlier because I love him. I'm going to go down into the water 3 times and then miss my lifeboat. That's bad acting. That's just bad storytelling. Because, first of all, she would have got on that lifeboat. Be sorry, she would have. Watch Titanic with Barbara Stanwyck and Clifton Webb, and you will never look at another Titanic movie the same.
How
so
to
well
alienate
done.
our
Was-
audiences
was-
or to rip on X-Men
is-
First Class, the Super Mario Brothers movie, Titanic.
Titanic.
What other beloved things can we get on? You know what? I really, I don't like Lucky Charms. It's too sweet.
well-
Any sweet cereal.
No, I don't trust people who like the freeze-dried marshmallows.
Okay,
I don't.
Fine. When you were a kid, it hit, but as a grown
No,
up,
it didn't hit that either.
Cheerios all the way. Dave, alienate somebody.
Listen. Dave's like, what? Okay.
Dave, do you like peanut butter spackled into your asshole?
I only like peanut butter if it's spackled in my asshole.
Well, there
If
you
you're
go.
gonna put that on a jelly.
And you can't do crunchy, so I'm going to go ahead and say that you're just disrespecting crunchy peanut butter.
I dislike
my God.
crunchy peanut butter.
There it is.
Yeah.
So let's cover all of our bases here. Speaking of covering bases,
I was-
let's get back to the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
we're gonna meet Johnny Cage here, which we kind of
are-
talked about a little bit
did a
already.
little bit.
I want to, in the effort of saving hours of our lives that we're not going to get back the longer this review takes, I want to jump to one thing. So clearly, Johnny Cage is an actor. He takes himself too seriously.
Yes. No.
Yes.
Clearly, he's an actor.
However, so he's there, and the guy on set, after we meet the not Steven Spielberg, says, "Johnny, there's someone who's here to see you." And Johnny's like, who the fuck is it? And the guy's like, "I don't know."
Is he a reporter?
Yeah.
Do you want me to go find out?
Yeah. So we go, and sitting in the chair is Johnny's master, who is the only less capable looking white person in this movie. Less capable looking than Lyndon Ashby.
Who's actually a martial artist.
You know what? I looked that up, and here's the thing, though. I don't buy it. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because
I don't either.
I wrote some thoughts down about this. Johnny's master, as far as his martial arts experience, Johnny's master looks like he's been in an epic showdown with a case of Bud Light. Johnny's master looks like he couldn't fight his way out of a custody agreement.
I mean, have you seen Steven Seagal today?
No, but Johnny's master looks like he couldn't kick a drinking habit. That's how capable as a martial artist he looks.
I actually meant Lyndon Ashby as a martial artist.
Oh yeah, Lyndon Ashby is.
That's what
yeah.
I meant.
That guy. I thought that guy was in what movie with the one with Danny Aiello.
He's actually been in a lot of things.
Yeah, he was in some movie where he
terms-
fights Danny Aiello, which is the only reason I know, because when I put that actor's name into Google, he and Danny Aiello are the first thing after Mortal Kombat, 1995. But I just wanted to point that out, that there's no way that guy's a martial arts master. If that guy's a martial arts master, I'm an Olympic athlete.
So we find out he's Shang Tsung,
He is.
which means that he stole his soul already.
Which means he dead.
Yeah, he's very dead.
He dead. He very dead.
So let me go ahead and pose this question to you. Did Johnny Cage's master fight in Mortal Kombat? Because if he did, that would explain how Shang Tsung got his soul.
No,
I
because
just
it
assume he
happens
just
once
went
a
to
generation.
Earth and just killed him.
Yeah.
which would have generally meant that when Johnny Cage was still a student, that's when he would have fought in Mortal Kombat and died.
Video game wise, you can go ahead and say that, but I mean, like, Shang Tsung literally killed Liu Kang's brother last Tuesday.
Exactly.
And
That's
then we're
true.
having the tournament again. So I think in terms of how that timeline works in the film, I think you can kind of throw out the generational kind of aspect of it in that.
Which I'll bring up now, the point you make. So the whole concept of Mortal Kombat is that they have to fight in this tournament. And the Outworld has to win 10 times in order to invade Earth.
Right.
The Earth gets nothing for winning, which is a shit deal.
They get survival.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a shit deal. But the whole reason is it has to be Mortal Kombat because to outright invade or to do it any other way outside of Mortal Kombat incurs the wrath of Raiden and the gods, and then they can fuck you up. So what does murdering Robin Shu's little brother count as? Because it's not in the fucking tournament. So how is that immediately Raiden's like, oh, sweet, zap, fucking movie's over. Robin Shu can go back to sweating unnecessarily in a concrete fucking apartment. But no, why didn't they cover it? Right away. Opening scene of the movie, Raiden kills him.
I want to point out that as Noah said, Robin Shu sweating in a concrete apartment, Jackie had to collect herself.
I did.
I will tell you why I think.
Flashed him sitting up in bed in them
Because-
box of briefs.
When Liu Kang left, shirking his, responsibilities as the one or the chosen one, whatever, his brother took his place training for the Mortal Kombat tournament. He
Yes.
probably challenged Shang Tsung and got his ass whooped for it.
That's a really good point.
That
yeah.
is a good point.
Yeah.
That's what I just kind of always assumed.
So I guess then where was Raiden? And then when Robin Shu's like, Raiden, why didn't you protect him?
Why didn't you,
And then
motherfucker?
Raiden immediately says, why the fuck didn't you?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, though, back up, Raiden.
Why didn't
You though? You're fucking literally, this is your job. God damn it, Christopher
what
Lambert.
Besides quippy one-liners, this is your
they're not
fucking
even that
job.
damn good.
One fucking thing. It's like the dinosaur supervisor in Jurassic Park. You had one fucking job. So anyway, they go to the Temple of Light after this, where Robin Shu gets real pissy at his grandfather, which...
We only in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We're like 10 minutes in.
I'm going to start trying to direct us a little closer. I have other notes, though. Has anyone noticed? I know you were probably distracted, but did we notice how fucking high up Robin Shu's pants are in this movie, particularly this scene?
According to your notes, I didn't, but you did.
Oh, I did.
Is it Taylor Swift level? Is that what we're talking
it's
about?
higher. It's like
It's
full on worse than mom
It's
jeans.
not above the belly button.
Robin Shu. I'll just say Liu Kang's pants. I'll just say Liu Kang. Liu's pants are so high that they're going to ask me for a cigarette at a gas station. Liu's pants are so high that they're closer to his nipples than his dick. Liu's pants are so high that they're going to host a cooking show with Martha Stewart. That's how
they're pretty
fucking
damn
high
high.
up his pants are.
That's high.
That's
No.
real high.
No.
That explains why his voice is really, kind of elevated. In
Grandfather.
Yeah.
Grandfather, hi. I swear to God, I'm going to go avenge my brother's death. So
We got there.
We got Raiden punks out Liu Kang
He immediately punks him out.
like it's nothing. But I really want to talk about something that I saw in your notes, and I'm glad you saw it too. And I'm sure, Mac, you noticed it, and Miss Jackie, I know you've noticed this too. Johnny Cage is kind of a racist dick.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
all
When
right.
you give him the money for the suitcase? Yeah.
All right. Hold on. I'm gonna run up to the mic. Okay. He's a fucking heel.
Yeah, he's not a good person.
full-on heel in this movie. He's a heel. He's a misogynist to Sonya. He's a racist to Liu Kang. He is dismissive to every single person in the whole entire movie except for his master and the one black guy in the movie that would whoop his ass.
Yeah.
Is the only two people he's nice to.
Keep
It's the
that
only
in
thing.
mind for later because I have a point for that. But
Yeah.
go on.
I think I have the same point that you have going on
you
later
just
about this
pause
too.
that?
So
No,
Okay, I thought you
Still
paused
recording.
that. No, you're right about his pants.
super high.
Yeah, I didn't
super
remember.
high. he's like back in my day, before the war happened, like that fucking high.
That was even high for back in the day.
Yeah, it was super high. No, not talking about 90s high. I'm talking about 40s high. Like,
Yeah, that
I also want to talk about in that scene where Sony goes running off towards the boat,
yeah.
but the boat's moving really fast away from the pier, but she's just sprinting towards
Oh.
it. There's no way she made it to that boat without jumping in the water, but it's bone dry next time we see her. And the boat's moving backwards. It's moving in a way that it shouldn't be moving. Like, the boat is facing,
The boat has no engine and no sails. Now, I know
It's
it's, a
Outworld
fucking
magic.
It's a
It's
magic
Outworld
boat.
magic.
It's a magic boat.
wait. So, for the first time we've said on the show, it's a magic boat.
it's funny that you bring up the boat because like my legitimate gripe about the boat It's that it's a giant fucking wooden like sailing ship, and yet when they go into like the belly of the boat, there's just fucking piping, just all over the place.
It's like a World War II era destroyer.
It looks like it looks like it's a fucking monitor in the Merrimack.
Outworld magic.
Civil War, and it just doesn't make any sense. I was like, why are there fucking pipes here?
With all of the chains.
For what?
Just randomly hanging around. I just imagine being the interior designer of this boat and like, so I'm thinking fucking chains everywhere. Some chains over here, some chains over there. Imagine that whole parting chains to walk down the steps motif.
We have about 300 chains. How many do you need?
All of them. And they all have to be right where someone's going to walk. The one bridge. And here's another thing. Why is there a random bridge in the middle of a boat room? Like, I don't know if anyone knows how boats work, but you
don't normally have bridges.
You don't have a bridge in the middle of a room. And then you're like, let's concentrate all the trains over the fucking bridge.
I hear you talking.
Which is
and
good.
I keep thinking, someone out there literally put their heart and soul into that job and took it very seriously. Nobody put those chains up because 26 years from now, a bunch of people are going to make fun of me.
Some motherfucker's going to say,
they seriously took their job seriously. Okay, so
I just got this.
I feel so bad. You're making fun.
Well, listen,
you just gave me this
lovingly,
vision.
might I add.
You just gave me this vision of Paul W.S. Anderson, walking up to some grip, and he fucking grabs him by the shoulders, and he said, "Chains. We fucking need chains."
That's also how he landed Mila Jovovich.
Oh, no. Yeah. God damn it! Yeah. I in another life, I'm gonna walk up to Mila Jovovich. If I ever meet her, I'm like, chains. And right before her security teases me in the butthole.
Maybe a look in her eye. Chain guy's mom is listening to the podcast, which is rare.
Hey, chains guy mom.
But she's like, my son did that work. How dare you?
Hey, chains guy mom. What up, girl? You down with Peru? Let me ask you a hypothetical question, chains guy's mom. You ever have anyone whistle into your butthole?
Oh, my God.
Would you like to?
We're now singing and whistling into buttholes now. Thank you. And you may have broken your mom.
I envision when he does it, it sounds like one of those wooden train whistles that you had as a kid.
Oh, my God.
I'm so pissed that my pan flute is literally over there.
Oh, my God. We've been at this for an hour now.
Wait.
Yep.
Okay. Well played.
So they're on a boat.
So they're on a boat.
They all pile on the boat.
There's useless ramble between the characters.
Where the fuck did Kano go on this boat, by
He's
the way?
sitting there eating.
Somewhere.
He's just eating.
It's wet as shit.
Just eating and spilling things all over himself.
But we have the great misogynistic line. So, we have the introduction of Scorpion and Sub-Zero. What a lot of us come here for in that boat scene, right?
Oh, my God.
And then, we get introduced to the powers, right? Sonya pulls out the gun.
Hold on, brother. Hold on for a second. You may continue in a moment.
All right.
But you're really overstepping the most important part of that scene.
Okay.
Right? Because I can tell you, before the movie came out, the making of the movie came out, and I recorded. I watched this, and that sold me on this movie so hard. Because I was going to go see it anyhow. But what sold me on it was that scene, right? They open the door. They step out, and Shang Tsung just, steals the scene. Scorpion and Sub-Zero, the deadliest of enemies, but slaves under my power. That music, that scene was so good. And I'm sitting there last night watching it going, it's still fucking good.
Yeah.
It's still really fucking good. He sold that moment for me.
I mean, yeah, he carries the movie. That's how he does it.
His facials are so good.
You can tell that amongst the cast that they have, that he, with the exception of Christopher
Lambroso.
Lambert.
La 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 bamba.
That's a whole different podcast.
God, can you imagine this movie with Lou Diamond Phillips in
Yes, I have.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a point.
No, I can't.
But, you can kind of tell that he has the experience as an actor. I mean, he had a, pretty decent resume at that point in time before this movie kind of came out, where Robin Shou was really a stunt person in Hong Kong action movies before really doing this. But I was with that whole scene, right, introducing and then also downplaying, you came here to watch Scorpion and Sub-Zero fuck each other up. That's not going to happen in this movie.
100%
not going to happen in this movie. But stay tuned to Annihilation, where we're just going to inexplicably bring that back.
Yeah.
So, we have that piece, and then we establish that, we're going to put Sub-Zero, grab the gun, freeze it, break it. They do that callback to it in the current movie, which I liked. And then you've got Scorpion. The weapon comes out of his hand.
What do you call that again, Noah?
That's a hand vagina. That man's got right there.
It really is.
He has both a labia minora and a labia majora.
He's the
on
only
that hand.
He's the only person that if you say go fuck yourself, he just goes back.
He
to the
literally
room.
can. It just
He
moves
can.
right- Oh
Yeah.
man, yeah. He flat out holds his hand up and spreads the lips of his hand vagina
Right.
and lets that thing out.
Oh my god.
So as shit's about to go down, don't bust that nut just yet. Here comes Raiden to cockblock all of you. Blast the shit out of Scorpion and Sub-Zero with lightning that is oddly the same color as Scorpion and Sub-Zero.
Yeah.
Mixed. It's fiery lightning.
It is
Yeah.
fiery lightning. And he's like, all right, that's enough. This is when Raiden's like basically showing Liu Kang, Liu, here's my dick.
Yeah.
All right?
He
Just letting
stops
you-
and then you just hear.
I gave you a little taste back at the Temple of Light by showing you a little bit of static in my eyes and everything. But now I'm just going to go ahead and really whip it out for you and show what I'm about. And then Liu Kang falls on. He's like, that's a pretty big dick, Raiden. So
At
but
least a solid 5 inches he pulls out there.
solid five. But this is when we get to that line where you're talking about like the misogyny that kind of shows up here. And this could also be it's a different time. It's the 90s. It's not even like late 90s. It's still like early to mid 90s when we're making this.
Yeah.
And then Shang Tsung just looks at Sonya Blade and just goes, "You've been chosen, Sonya, much to my delight."
Yeah, rape segment number
Yeah,
2.
rape
He's
segment number
eye
two.
fucking her a little
Yeah.
bit.
Oh yeah, this whole movie, there's like 3 things. There's evil Shang Tsung is just deviously Mr. Burns healing. Yes, I'm going to take over the Then he's being a complete dick to all his allies. So you cannot fail me. He says it's basically him saying "you fool" because he says that 55 times, and then it gets like real weird with Sonya.
He has a weird
Not
obsession
like
with her.
heel obsession. He's like, by the way, I can't help but notice you use Pert Plus.
Like, by the way, I have a gag ball. That's kind of what he's looking at her.
That's the real purpose of the chains in that room.
Whatever you-
He was really pissed off that other guys came down with Sonya.
In your room, after you brush your teeth, when you use the scope and you spit it into the drain, there is no drain. It's my mouth. Sonya.
Oh my god.
But I have my only notes about when Raiden shows up are as follows. Hold on 1 second. Raiden's like, bitch, no. And Shang Tsung's like, later then. That's the whole scene, basically. He's like, I was like, all right. And then they go to the top of the boat to start, and he's explaining what Mortal Kombat is. There was like 40 people on this boat. Then they all go down below deck to where there's 3 other people on this boat, and they pop back up. Everyone's gone. They're alone on the deck of this boat.
Yeah.
Like, where the fuck did everybody go?
There were not enough cabins on that boat to, safely or comfortably house 40 people.
Where the fuck are they? I want to know.
Outworld magic.
Yeah, Outworld magic makes
That's what I'm
sense.
going to go
It's
with
like,
for the
it's
rest
like Pirates
of
of the
the movie.
Caribbean. They're all
Outworld
sleeping in
shit.
hammocks and like down on the boat,
Fucking hammocks.
like bow of the boat.
So
So-
anyway, yeah.
And then we get the transition into Outworld, which I wanted to say this because I again, paying attention to what time frame we're making this movie. This is not fucking Jurassic Park.
No.
All right. This is not Steven Spielberg and Universal and Amblin Entertainment reaching into their pockets to throw up some Lucas money into this. This is one of the movies where we're starting to experiment with new digital technology for some of the first time. And man, do those graphics look horribly dated today.
All the
But
CG is dated horribly.
I do remember when I was 13 watching that movie being like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at this. This is so fucking cool.
Absolutely.
Right? But that's really, we're starting to get into that digital age of really ramping up the special effects in movie making. And I do give them credit that they didn't really use special effects in the fight scenes. They really tried to
practical.
Yeah.
They really wanted to make sure the fight scenes
As
kind
much as
of
possible.
stood through their own, and I'll comment some things about that when we get to there. But I did like the fact that we started to dive into the digital age of effects for movie making.
I gotta pee.
No, you can't pee. You have to hold it for the rest of this episode.
Oh my God.
Because your listeners demand to know what it sounds like for you so frustrated and holding your pee that you just sit there.
Just don't make me laugh.
Oh, no promises.
I'm going to shift myself and move my feet out of the blast zone.
I feel very strongly about this movie.
Yeah.
So we get to that island. That's like the halfway point of Outworld and Earth.
Beautiful setting for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice island.
Shooting that in Tibet.
That's a good looking island.
Yeah.
There's some really unnecessary scenes. I mean, Johnny Cage falling off the boat was kind of pointless.
Oh yeah. Well,
You need a little comedy, but did you really need that?
they make it slapsticky when they possibly can.
It was like I kind of rolled my eyes on that
because they
one.
realized that though no child is supposed to have played Mortal Kombat at this
All
point,
children played Mortal Kombat.
some kids are coming to see this movie, and you need some guy, and to break up the fact that he's clearly a dick in this movie, just like flat out
Not a good person.
No, not a good person, like at all. Maybe starts to be a good person in like the last half of the third act, but
Right.
no. But they get to the island, and everyone's like, "It's Sonya unnecessarily beating the shit out of that walkie-talkie." Like, I don't know about you guys, but we've all been without service on our phones. You learn real fucking fast when you aren't able to make a phone call. You don't stay on that thing on the boat, on the smaller boat, and on the beach. And then you just chuck that shit. That's since 1995. That's like a $600 cell phone.
Easily.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
That's when it was $1 a minute.
So I want to point out something that I'm sure you guys all noticed about this movie. And I've watched this movie probably a dozen times growing up. And I'm watching this and I'm looking at like the steps and like the mountain they're climbing to get to the actual tournament. That shit should have just been Mortal Kombat right there.
Yeah.
Like,
Make it to the
who
top.
the fuck climbs that? And Johnny Cage is carrying like 18 bags and double bags and suitcases.
Oh, yeah, man, dude. So,
it almost falls off the damn thing.
It's no wonder they won 9 in a row. If I had to march up all those fucking stairs, I don't have anything left for roundhouse kicks.
This isn't right.
And they try to make a gag out of it, like, Johnny Cage is so out of breath because he carried all those things. Motherfucker has the best cardio in this movie. And he carried all of that up there. And he gets there, he's like, I'm going to make a joke right now. And then that's it. And then he moves along. That's, though, ironically, where we get to the point where we first meet Katana in the movie at the top of those steps. Sitting under what I can only describe as a very large drink umbrella.
Yes.
Like she's sitting on the edge of a coconut filled with rum right now.
And with a pineapple right next to
That
her.
music. Her little...
Her little theme.
Yeah.
Could you imagine being the guy who's like, I composed Katana's theme in the 1995 Mortal Kombat? But in all due seriousness,
There is somebody at a party doing that as we speak.
I am married. And nobody in my life has ever looked at me the way that Katana looked at Liu Kang when he walks up those fucking steps.
This is true.
Yes, like, oh God. Like damn, Robin Shu.
I look at Robin.
Like,
Shu.
my first thought was, don't fuck this up, dude. Don't fuck this up. Like that's a look. So, way to go, Robin Shu.
So we
Damn
get
Katana.
like the feast where they all get to eat and enjoy their food, and then the tables just get tipped the fuck over.
Yeah.
For
Now,
no real reason.
I'm trying to think, because we get introduced to Katana. Are we also, before we get to the feast, is that when we're also introduced to Reptile?
Absolutely.
Yes.
The very same scene.
The very same scene. So I do want to point that out, because as a fan of the video game as I am, Reptile was always one of my favorite characters
Easily.
in that game.
Pretty
Easily.
badass.
Yeah.
I have a question for you boys.
Yes.
Okay.
Please.
Answer. Is this about how jealous you are of Katana?
No, seriously. Like, you're spewing forth names, and you're spewing forth names, and do you realize that they barely mention the names of these characters in the movie? Wait, let me finish. Do you think that you know the names of these characters because you play the video games?
Of course.
yeah.
Because they
Oh, yeah,
barely
100%.
mention the names
Now, they
of the
mentioned
characters.
Katana a number of times.
but I'm talking about, like...
Reptile. Okay, of
Princess
all the characters,
Katana.
I think the only one they don't mention often is Reptile.
No, but Reptile's the
But
only...
they do mention Reptile.
They do.
Shang Tsung does.
He gets his own fucking song. He's like... Like, just like, quick, say the name of the character.
They don't
Fucking
say it enough.
No, they don't.
that
Maybe 3 times maximum. Maybe.
Also,
Not enough to remember unless you play the video games.
how many fully realized CG characters existed in cinema before Reptile?
Not very many.
Not very many.
Not very many.
I mean, this is way before Jar Jar Binks, everybody.
Not even
right?
Jurassic Park has
I was,
CGI.
I was gonna say that maybe
There's a little bit.
There's
in
a little
there.
bit, yeah.
Raptors and stuff.
If you watch that video on
The Gallimimus scene, those are all as
what you
their...
got? What you got?
I just grabbed
what you got there?
from our previous episode, the final Troganator that was left over from us powering through those things.
Okay.
And what is everyone else drinking?
I am
Review.
now
my
enjoying a
Starbucks.
pumpkin.
Yep, I have pulled up a Dogfish Head Pumpkin Ale.
7% alcohol,
So,
and it's
Starbucks.
very pumpkin-y.
It is.
It's still the season. We haven't really moved into Christmas.
No, we're in
brew just
November,
yet.
so
We're
it's
still
like,
there.
hey, you can still
Thanksgiving's right around the corner.
If you can still socially eat pumpkin pie, you can drink a pumpkin beer. That's just what it is. You're not wearing white after Labor Day. Just remember that.
Why not?
I never got it. I
mean-
know from there's a movie called Serial Mom starring Kathleen Turner.
remember that movie. The
Yes,
movie's great.
and she kills somebody for wearing white after Labor
Yes,
Day.
I remember that.
I never heard of that after that, and I'm like, I'm never fucking doing that.
I'm gonna wear white. I'm just gonna do it.
Do it. Are you?
I do
Fucking,
it.
I'm gonna throw caution to the wind.
Yeah, fuck it.
Fuck.
I did.
Yeah.
You didn't?
I would like to see you do that.
Like,
I call
Yeah.
bullshit.
I'm not gonna be. I don't want to be that guy. You are wearing a white shirt. Right now.
Well, this is an
Doesn't mean
undershirt.
shirts.
This is an undershirt.
It means
yeah.
pants and shoes. Because
Dave,
well,
wear
not tennis
white
shoes,
pants and
not
shirts
tennis shoes,
to our next recording.
like dress shoes, and there's a reason for it. Do you
Pray
wanna know?
tell.
I thought maybe you knew the reason was because most of your rain and bad weather starts after Labor Day, and therefore you have a chance of walking in your pants and getting dirty and showing up somewhere unkempt.
I know that now.
This goes from the
Fucking blew my
30s.
mind. is what
I hope I'm wearing a full white suit and I get caught in a downpour and I have to walk into a place where basically everything is see-through and you got to see whatever like G-string I'm probably going to be rocking to that party at that point in time. I want it to be very blatant.
It's a fashion thing.
It's amazing.
It's a
I want it to be
It's an
hot.
amazing visual.
I want it to be hot green, like bright neon, like Super Soaker 50 neon green. That's what I want to have in this.
You'd see that even without the rain. You'd see that.
Absolutely.
So we get to the buffet scene. Quick question, round of questions, everybody. I couldn't get a fucking good look at it, but each table had a centerpiece meal. It looked like a squid. Did anyone else get any different impressions? Did anyone else, first of all, I have a weird thing about big movie scenes with food. You know, like it all goes back to Hook. The movie Hook, where you see that giant feast in Hook, and you're like, oh fuck yeah! I don't know what they're drinking out of those mugs in Hook.
It looks
so
delicious.
frothy. I want to fucking have that before I
Probably just
die.
tastes like a sweet tart.
There was like so much icing that they were eating. Like I
It's
just remember
pure
like
frosting.
this is like blue and pink and orange, and I'm like,
Should we cover Hook?
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Finish
it's
Mortal
all-
Kombat so I can make it to Giant
You know what? All right.
It's on the list.
The 1990 film Hook, starring Robin Williams, Dustin Hoffman, Julia Roberts, and in the role of a lifetime, nobody else because I can't remember. Bob Hoskins. And
Bob
Hoskins.
and Glenn Close in a cameo.
What?
Yeah. She's the pirate that gets the boo box. Did you break a boo?
call.
I did. And then the boo box, that's Glenn Close.
That's right.
So, Mortal Kombat, 1995.
going back to what's on the menu.
Back
Yes.
to what we're talking about here. So we're past the feast. Sub-Zero shatters a guy.
Yeah.
Cool special effects at the time.
A lot of posing.
Those-
This is when I first noticed that.
those-
Yeah, there's a lot of cracking of spines.
Every fight
I-
is someone flexing.
Has anybody ever tried to crack their back like that dude did in that scene?
No, because they're all dead.
Yeah.
That's why.
Like I read,
Osteoporosis is a real terrible thing.
which brings us to our first sponsor.
Do you or your a loved one suffer from osteoporosis? Do you have asbestos? God, I can't wait till we get a sponsor. If we ever do, I'm gonna fucking.
I know you will.
I don't know what kind of person's like. Yeah, they really say the word "cum" a lot on that show. I want them to sell my product, but when they do, oh, it's gonna be so good. Yeah, back crack of it.
So you know, going back to that, I was gonna say a perfect transition for that note would be. So, do you ever find yourself just covered in cum?
Well, yes, Dave, I do.
So when those times happen, I'm going to go ahead and present to you Johnson & Johnson baby wipes.
I'm gonna say ShamWow. It's super absorbent. All the protein you can shake.
ShamWow man juice.
It will retain its softness even after covered in that. You don't put this at the bottom of the hamper like no one's gonna notice it. But after that scene, then we actually get, and I want to point this out. Hello, flashlight randomly turned on.
Real quick before you do that.
Yeah.
I had read that the ninjas, right, the warriors in Shang Tsung's army was not supposed to be human. I had read that the original concept for that was to be, and I can't remember the race that Baraka is, but it was supposed to be those characters.
I just
that he was
assumed
supposed
because
to
they
have
had the blades on the side. I always, as a kid, thought that maybe there was like a callback to that character.
Yeah.
He just, you know.
I'm going to imagine that the $18 million budget didn't really leave a lot of room for having
$1 million of it went to Goro.
Having about oh god, I can't
wait. $1 million of it went to Goro.
That we were going to have, all those characters and makeup for that. So
Baraka is the character in the modern one that has the sword
you don't know who
arms.
Baraka
he has the sword.
He's the bald looking
big. Yeah,
he was the
sharp
coolest
teeth.
looking character in Mortal Kombat 2, the game.
Okay.
And henceforth has been the character we've all been most excited to actually see done in a Mortal Kombat movie.
Until we saw Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Ain't nobody getting dicked at a movie over more than Baraka as far as Mortal Kombat characters. He's these weird shirtless oil dudes in the first movie. He gets absolutely spanked in the second movie, and he's only in the new movie for like 5 minutes. So yeah, they totally do the character of Baraka, or as we would call him earlier in the show, Bareback.
Oh, there we go.
From 7 hours ago. So we get to the only scene, though, after this, though, that has, of course, the heels leave and the baby faces follow the heels down, to we get the scene with the most exposition in the entire movie.
Yes.
The entire movie is Kano eating a way better looking feast than was offered to the people
Just
before.
that giant turkey leg.
Dude, so
man.
he's tearing that turkey leg up. He's fucking that
He's
turkey
got a
leg.
chalice. He's like living his best life for about 3 seconds until he gets cucked by the giant Goro. Here's my thing, though. I have one note. I'm sure since you read my notes, you saw this. I was looking at Goro with the forearms, and so I'm like, this looks really familiar. Something's going on here. Why is this bothering me? And I realized Goro has no control over his arms, like a toddler. And then I realized Goro is a fucking toddler. He's like randomly in the middle of dialogue, raising his arms in weird random directions because the animatronic guy is getting bored. He's just fucking moving the joysticks. The guy with that thing on his back. So I can't. And now he's just like, it's like that scene in Talladega Nights where Will Ferrell just gradually raises his hands in the scene. All of it is that fucking way with Goro. But they cover. Here's how much.
They tried.
In the entire movie to this point, here's the exposition we get. Liu Kang was chosen. He denied it. Mortal Kombat's a tournament. Earth, Outworld, Johnny Cage is an actor. Sonya Blade is a secret agent, wants revenge. Right. That's the entire fucking thing we've gotten out of exposition in the movie. And it took us up to this point in the movie. In this scene, they tell us Kano is a mob boss. Goro is a general and a prince of underground people. Shang Tsung has plans for Sonya. Rape segment number 3. Right there. All right. Steals people's souls. Can replicate other people's souls up to 1,000 times. Liu Kang is the descendant of Kung Lao. Princess Katana is adopted. She's also 10,000 years old, and she's gonna turn babyface. We all get that in 2 minutes of the movie, showing that if someone wanted to tell you something about this fucking movie, they would have done it by now.
Right.
Well, that was his intention.
I mean, that's a good point. And then this is also on the Kano wet factor. He's at an 8 in this scene. He's at an 8.
Kano just always looks like he got out of the shower.
Flat out
like
wet.
literally just 3 minutes ago, he just got out, just dripping.
Actually, I'm going to bump him up to a 10 because I believe this is the most wet he is in this movie.
I mean, like, I really never paid that much attention.
Because you were looking at Robin Shoe.
You couldn't get your eyes off of him.
I could just imagine you watching a movie and you're like looking around your TV like you're going to be able to catch a little more nipple if you catch it from the right side.
Oh my
There's a scene in the shitty original Fantastic Four movie in which Jessica Alba is slightly sort of naked for a second, and you can pause it on the right frame. Okay? We all know this because I did this at the house that we shared together on the TV. I was like going frame by frame to see. And then you realize she's covering pasties and it's not real. But I imagine that's exactly what you did. When Robin shoot, you're like, whenever his pants came down low enough for him to see it show his nipples, then you're like, oh yeah, everyone leave the room. Nenny needs to be alone.
Oh my God. I wasn't Nenny then.
You are now.
So, Goro, I want to. The overarching theme for
Fully
me with
animatronic.
Goro was impressive as hell. Actually,
Yeah,
I think
all
so.
things considering.
like of all the effects in the entire movie, he looks the best. He's aged the best.
yeah, because he's practical.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
just 13 to 16 people to control him.
Yep.
More importantly, the person inside of him
That's
could
heavy.
only operate him for 1 to 2 minutes at a time due to lack of oxygen. What the fuck?
They
Oh my
they
God.
said that there were certain things where they didn't shoot him in because
Yeah.
they were afraid that the animatronic was gonna like melt down or catch on fire.
Or the guy inside might die.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Like when Barney caught on fire.
Or Michael Jackson caught on fire. Or Richard Pryor caught on fire.
Well,
Fires
that-
are a thing here.
You're getting
Yeah.
more devastating with each one. I mean, like Barney catching on fire was fine.
Somebody was
dinosaur.
probably traumatized by that. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
Listen, I talked about Santa Claus 2 episodes ago, and you guys told me nobody with
are they-
kids should be listening to this
No,
podcast.
no, first of all, it's not that they're a kid now, but somebody in the great magnanimous country of Algeria just discovered Barney.
Just
because they just got there,
Barney.
right? And now that spoiler alert, he's on fire.
Inside the suit.
Yeah, Lithuania is 20 years behind, so they
Yes.
just got PBS.
They just got Journey, so they're in for a whole
They
thing. coming
cannot
up.
stop believing.
So through all that horse shit, then we get to the point where, of course, the baby face is trying to let the heels know that they're there, and then they get lost. They try to follow Katana. For some strange reason, she leads them directly into Reptile, which is not quite babyface yet. But she's almost there. And then they have that comical thing where they're trying to find their way out. And then Johnny Cage is, oh, I know, the way completely covered in cobwebs.
Yeah. Clearly no one's gone
Clearly
that
nobody's
way.
gone through there, but I can smell her perfume.
You couldn't pay me to go through those
Misogyny
cobwebs.
instance number 5 in this movie.
No, Outworld spiders are nothing that I want to fuck with.
No,
Not even
There are two
close.
things that ain't nothing to fuck with: Wu-Tang Clan and Outworld spiders. So they get to the main area. There's all kind of food, and for the second and thankfully last time in the movie, a bunch of food is just destroyed. Well, a bunch of people fight unnecessarily, and we get to the probably one of the better fight scenes in the whole movie. The babyface is fighting a bunch of unnamed
Right.
random jerk.
Crewman number 6.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, I mean,
Some of them very athletically,
yes.
physically fit. The ones in the background, not so much.
No, they're just bouncing back and forth.
They're more like me. They're much
Yeah.
more rotund. It looks like there might be a physique, but it's under a lot of fat.
They didn't do that in the new one though.
No, because this is how you make
Right.
90s action
Right.
movies.
They
Yeah.
built their way there, each step of the way. Like
did.
so, they had the as we would call them red shirts, which is from Star
Yeah.
Trek actually. So
No shit. We keep going.
because you
What is
told
the
me that.
Star Trek that you speak of?
It's this weird space show. I hate.
You're pronouncing Star Wars wrong.
Yes, Mark Hamill and his wavy bangs are disappointed in you. So we get to that fight, and the baby faces, the beat wave 1, wave 2 shows up, and then just because he's a dickhead, Christopher Lambert shows up, just decides to flash the lightning that he never
Right.
really uses in this movie, and now the baby faces are out of it before we get to more exposition. But before we get there, this is going long.
A little bit.
A little long.
As per usual, when we cover a movie, it goes long.
I really think though, if Dave wasn't in the equation, it would have gone a lot faster. But just saying, that's
So
I have to take it slow for the
because no,
ladies.
because
It's real
you give all
slow.
these really interesting facts, and they were very, very interesting facts that are
So
rejected.
I know that we could go for hours, but we are nobodies.
yeah.
And you are somebodies.
I am.
Right. So we're going to cut you loose. We're going to cut all the listeners loose. And I think we're going to cut it here. And we're going to go with a part 2,
Yes.
which thankfully will literally start playing at the end of this episode on your however you ingest podcast. But I have 2 questions to ask you before you
Oh
leave.
God, help me. Go ahead.
The first, on a scale of 1 to 10 Robin shoe nipples, how did you rate this movie? You're allowed to count for half nipples, and you can also count for erect nipples too.
They're not erect most of the time.
Are you sure about that? Because it's pretty cold in
because,
Outworld.
No, because it's just the physiology. I'm not going to get into that.
He can
Or you could.
Have you? Wait.
Makeup. Okay, like there are some genetics that don't allow for the areola and the nipple to become pronounced.
I have never seen a physically fit man who's not just constantly tweaked his nipples at all times.
We're talking cut and diamond here.
Yeah. I mean, he's pretty much, like
Icing
Leonardo
those things down like a
DiCaprio
showgirls, yeah.
blood diamond kind of cutting deal.
I would give it a 7.
You'd give this movie 7 Robin shoe nipples out of 10.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And then the second question.
Wait. Because we have an uneven number of nipples, where does the 7th nipple go? Is it on the back for dancing? And like the front of Robin's shoe was just like
It would be on the forehead,
is it like a pregnant dog where you just have a whole bunch of nipples?
He pulls those high damn pants down and he reveals he's got nipples like a dog.
Like
all
a
the way
dog,
down.
yeah.
Now you know why he had to pull it all the way up.
Oh, beautiful.
Makes sense now.
That's gorgeous. So the last thing I want to say though is that I know you've never listened to an episode of this podcast, and you might actually listen to the one you're on, which would make you the most famous person to ever listen to this podcast.
Which we appreciate you being on the show.
For sure. But I feel like if there's any famous person we could trick into listening to this podcast, it's Robin Shue. So this is your chance, your stand moment.
There we go.
The world is listening. Everyone is waiting on bated breath. And Robin Shue himself is waiting to hear. What do you got to say to him, Mom?
Robin, you had your chance. I based the character on you. And unfortunately, that character just went down the drain because you never got back to me. However, you can redeem yourself in book 34. Because it's been since book 7 that Henry went downhill. Mm-hmm. So now here we are, 27 books later. He can redeem himself. Just leave a positive comment about this podcast.
I like it.
That's nice.
I'm on board for that.
Miss
nice.
Jackie, do you have anything to plug with us?
What are you
tonight?
working on right now? What's your newest release?
It's NaNoWriMo.
Oh, right. It's National Novel Writing Month.
Write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. I'm at 10 or 11,000 words.
At the time of recording this.
Yeah, and it's only, and we're only 2 days into it. I'm on my 3rd day. I haven't started writing yet.
Oh, you just absolutely, for the 8 people that know what NaNoWriMo is, pinpointed the recording date of this.
Yeah, but yeah, I have that going on. I don't think I'm filming anything. The church has me like a Walmart photographer with all this stuff I'm doing for them. But
what's your currently right now available everywhere latest release?
My Day World 4, and also The Raged and.
The Raged as in past tense.
The Raged, yeah.
RAGED.
Yeah, it's a zombie virus that takes place in Pittsburgh. I wrote it as a gag, but it actually turned out pretty good.
That's good.
And then also Static, A Quiet World comes out in another week. I have like 3 books coming out.
Fantastic.
Awesome.
So, and where will Static, A Quiet World be
where
available
can we
at?
find this stuff?
Amazon, online.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, we'll share that on our social media when
yeah,
the
that's my-
page
Speaking of
drops.
social media, where can we find you?
You can find me on Facebook, my unused Twitter, my often used sometimes
unused Twitter.
Instagram, all under Go Jake, and JacquelineDruga.com.
Awesome.
We'll let all of our very, very tasteful Algerian and European listeners let them know where to find you.
I'm very happy, Jackie, that you did not share our private Snapchat account with the audience.
No, that's
just for us.
and you are one of my only fans on OnlyFans. Is that what that's called?
Okay. Well, listen.
I've never been able to literally, because we're mic'd, I could hear the blood rush out of my body.
That's so awesome. I got him, didn't I?
That's great. Listen, Miss Jackie, thank you so much for being a part of this.
Herb Jones, thank you so
Taking
much for having
time
me.
out of your day to hang out with us and talk this movie. We really appreciate you, and we hopefully, if there's a subject that comes down the line that
We'll let
you're
you
interested
pitch it.
in,
Well,
please.
I'm gonna go home and watch Annihilation after I do my.
Please
writing.
don't.
Yeah.
No, actually
just-
do it,
Yeah,
and then feel
yeah.
bad about yourself because you will.
Oh my God.
I'm going to. I'm
will.
going to tag you in a post on Facebook. What happens when I tag a person in a post on Facebook?
Yeah. So her Facebook blows up. It's like the comment section on a Joe Biden post. Like it gets dark. And listen though, I just gotta say, 20 years I've never heard you talk to my mother in the way that you've talked to her tonight. And I'm not saying that I don't dislike it. I'm just saying in 20 years, and the thing that broke the camel's back was fucking Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Listen, I love your mom with all my heart and soul, but then she tells me that she likes such a shitty movie, it bothers me.
I'm going to watch it again, okay?
Please.
Because it's been since it came out in the theater. I will go watch it again, and I will let you know what I think in a Facebook post that I will tag you in.
Please do.
And
please.
Beautiful.
we'll,
Yeah.
I'll make it so much that people are going to comment, and Herb is going to have a fit.
I look forward to
I can
doing.
live with this.
Can you? It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
You define fun.
You should respond with our podcast Spotify account.
Yeah,
And
that's what
every
you do.
comment.
I
I'll
may
jump in there
have
too.
to.
That's
well, all
what you
three of
have
us
to
will get in there.
I'll do
I
something political, but not politically bad about it.
I look forward to doing what I usually do when you post those posts on social media and troll you,
There you go.
as I do.
Every time Dave sees a post that's going to bring about a lot of comments or something that Dave always has to just interject.
I have to go ahead and let everybody know, and it's usually with Bill Murray gifts.
I did finally get one that didn't cause backlash. It was the hot dogs. How do you eat your hot dogs?
I didn't see that one.
Yeah.
I eat it like a typewriter.
It had like 400
Very
comments.
bold.
It's like crazy.
I like to go the reverse eating. I gently slide it into myself,
Oh,
and then
my
it
God.
emerges chewed up out of my mouth.
Noah, Herb Jones, Dave, it
Mom,
has been wonderful.
Last question. Do you know what docking is?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right.
But we'll end on that, and your listeners can look it up.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this episode.
Yes, we'll see you
Thank you.
next week with
Absolutely.
part 2. Or
Find
no,
us
later
on-
in about 5 seconds.
Find
with
us on
part 2.
Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, at Nothing Good. That's
At Go Jake.
Nothing Good Podcast. And get everybody, take care of yourselves. Be safe. We'll catch you next time.
See you
Part
in
2.
5 minutes. Nothing good.